Welcome to The Lady Killers, a feminine rage podcast. Hello, and welcome to The Lady Killers, a feminine rage podcast. I am your host, Jennifer's Body Adams, and we've got a job to do, ladies. Big Cineverse. Wait, no, Cineverse is our people.
Yes.
We are Cineverse.
Yeah. Big Cineverse. We got to fight for Big Cineverse. The Netflix army put a tower on top of a church, and we got to burn it down.
I would do that. Yeah.
I would too. Yeah. But first, we got to jump out of this plane. I was thinking today, who should I make our fictional podcast enemy that we are fighting for podcast domination?
I could name a few.
Is there
I was
podcast?
gonna say, I was like, choices. None we can
there are
say
a lot of
out
enemies I
loud.
could say. Yeah.
Well, I was like, I think Jeff Bezos might be a safe one.
Oh, yeah.
To be our
that's
enemy.
it.
Always.
And I could see comparing him to those certain enemies.
Amazon
in the
is a bad
movie.
thing. I
Mhm.
hate that I have to use it on a regular basis.
I know,
okay?
but I do, and it is a reliable place to rent half the movies we cover too.
Yeah,
So,
no kidding.
you know,
That's
and that's why we got to tear this tower down, ladies.
Yeah.
Okay, hook up onto the plane. I'm about to just throw you out of our podcasting airplane.
You would need
And-
to, so yeah.
Yeah,
do it.
Oh,
exactly.
I'm not doing it.
Yeah.
Anyways, all that to say, we're watching Overlord today, and I am so fucking excited because, spoiler, I love this movie.
Me too.
So
Me
much,
too.
and I'm so excited to talk about it. But I'm not alone. You just heard their voices. I'm joined by a fabulous squad of privates. And they're also lady killer experts.
We contain
so
multitudes.
We're lady privates.
We do. We're lady privates, and we have lady privates.
I have lady privates too.
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler.
Yeah.
So Shelby, say hello and tell us, do you enjoy war movies?
Hello. First of all, welcome back, Jen. You came in like literally last week. We were joking about a coup, and now you've come back like our general.
we're
so
not
this is like
ready.
perfect.
All right.
We've
let's
officially
go.
added an overarching narrative to this podcast.
Yes.
You've rejoined the gang because we did start
Yeah.
a gang. And
We
then
started
really?
a gang, honestly.
Yes.
Yeah, we started
but
a
I mean,
gang.
we always knew there was going to be space for one.
Okay,
Oh,
yes,
always.
because I want to be in a gang. It's
We do
part
have
of
to jump
one of
you
my
in, though,
goals.
so
yeah,
get ready
we were
for
gonna
that.
get leather jackets made.
Yeah.
All right, hold on. Let me get
we
my
might
elbow.
have to initiate you, but
Yeah,
that's okay.
We're
We
just
have
gonna.
faith.
It's like what in like West Side Story. We're gonna be kind of
Yeah.
like that.
I have
Yeah.
taken 7 years of jazz, 1 year of
I
tap. so-
figured.
There you go. Then you'll fit in
I am-
perfectly.
Ooh.
Oh yeah, I'm Shelby. Hi. And I I love war movies. I love
Really?
war movies. All Quiet on the Western Front is one of my favorite movies. The original. I do love the new one that strangely Netflix put out, even though we said some bad things about them. But the original
big
All Quiet
Netflix
on, I
don't
love
cancel
war
us.
movies. I watch them a lot with my dad. My dad's a big World War II nut. In fact, I actually texted him while I was watching this, and I was like, "So you're always like recommending war movies to me. I have one for you."
Ooh.
He hates
And it's
horror,
not your
so I'm really
typical
hoping he
horror
watches
movie.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mhm.
Well, Rachel, what about you? Say hello and tell us, do you enjoy war movies? And I might know one that you do like.
Yes, that's right. This is Rachel Charles Bronson, #1 fan Reeves. Spoiler alert again for that, because you know, it's so funny. I feel like I have mixed feelings, or have had mixed feelings on war movies, because I feel like I can get a little sensitive sometimes to like what the narrative is saying, and if it
Yeah.
feels a little like propaganda-ish or a little
Same.
rewriting
Mhm.
history
Totally
kind of
same.
thing.
Mm-hmm.
But I will say, like, once I started really diving into my attempt to watch every Charles Bronson movie ever filmed and made, which I'm almost there. You know, he did a lot of war movies, and so
He did.
as part of that, I watched a lot of movies I never would have watched probably otherwise. And I think it's really fascinating to kind of go back, kind of looking at it from like an anthropological nerdy study
Yeah.
kind of way, to go back and see like, oh, how was this being portrayed? What were they saying? And so I kind of feel like I've revised my opinion on it a little bit, and I find them to be actually really fascinating, especially the good
Mhm.
ones, and even sometimes the bad ones, because it's interesting to be like, how was this perceived at the time? How is this being presented? What is this saying about war, about this particular engagement, you know, depending on what it is? And so I think, you know, in the same way that horror allows people to explore their fears or discuss really complicated issues or politics or whatever, or kind of overarching societal fears. I think war movies do the same thing. It's tough. There's not a
Absolutely
single like war
Yes.
ever, even if it's like a conflict or something. Like there's none of that that's easy or not messy in some way.
Yeah.
And so to help, I don't know, just cultures and societies process that in a way and kind of work through our feelings. And I think that's what I've come to appreciate it about it. And I think that's even true in this movie in certain ways.
Yeah,
I
slightly
agree.
different, but it's interesting.
It is.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I have a
totally
lot
agree.
to say about that. I think
Yeah.
they're always exploring masculinity, which is why we covered what's the Charles Bronson one we talked about on the Girls on the Boys?
We talked about the Dirty Dozen, which I was
The Dirty
wondering because I
Dozen.
was like, there's some Dirty Dozen in here a little
There
bit
is
for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. Well, Sammy, what about you? Say hello and tell us, do you enjoy war movies?
This is Sammy, and if you Kraut's got a cigarette, Rothman, which probably would have sounded better with my old last name because Eichendal is very much a Kraut last name. And I can say that because I'm German. But I think it depends. Just like you, Rachel, I'm the same way. Like I love history, but I love specific parts of history. Like I'm not the biggest fan of U.S. history. Like, and maybe fan isn't the right word, but like I just don't find it as interesting as I do world history.
Same.
And like specifically European history. Because I love Greek history, like Greek mythology, and I like learning about the different religions that aren't like the big three, you know what I mean? That have kind of formed our world and why we fight for them and stuff like that. But World War II has always kind of been a hyperfixation of mine since my sophomore year of high school because my history teacher showed us Schindler's List and I remember like we had to sign like our parents had to sign a paper for us to watch it at school. And like, yeah, it's, become one of those like Spielberg cliche, like tear-filled movies, like Oscar baity movies, but it's a really good movie. It's really,
and the
really good.
story is incredible.
Yes, it's incredible.
Yeah.
And just like, I just remember, and I was 15, 16 years old. So it was like the first time I was seeing something like that. And I like remember being in the classroom and like everyone was kind of like the lights were off and like throwing like paper planes and no one's really paying attention. I'm just like fully like
I remember those
crying
moments.
in the corner,
Yeah.
it had a really big effect on me. So I'm always down for like World War II and World War I movies. Like 1917 is probably one of my favorites as of late. It was so
George
good.
McKay,
We saw it
yeah.
in theaters. Like I
Me
love
too.
Sam
Oh, it was so
Mendes. Like
beautiful.
it's incredible. Like that is a war movie to me. And I really like Dunkirk, I think is a fantastic
Oh,
war
I
movie.
loved Dunkirk.
It moves so fast, and it's like like the thing with war movies is like you were saying, Rachel. There's so many different POVs to explore storyline wise and like narrative wise. Like I love when we started getting like the horrors of war, like Full Metal Jacket and like Jacob's Ladder, which I've never seen, but I do know that that's what that they're about. I think like Born on the 4th of July is about that too.
That's what All
Forrest
Quiet on the
Gump.
Western Front was the first anti-war
really?
movie. Yeah,
I
it's
love
very
that.
anti-war.
I've never
The book
seen
was
it.
anti-war. Yeah, you guys would actually, now that I'm hearing all this, you guys would actually love it. It's very anti-war. They
I'll
had
check
real
that out.
World War I veterans when they were like on set filming it,
cool.
who gave them horrifying stories about the war and like
So
they
firsthand, like story. That's incredible.
Yeah, there's a very famous shot of a hand holding on to like barbed wire, and it's just a hand, and that was from like one of their stories. And it's the book is real. It was like banned in Germany because it's anti-German. It was written by a German who was anti-war, and like the look into just the anti-war the war propaganda from that perspective is like chilling. So sorry.
No, that's
Tangent.
not like that's my like because history is so I love it, but like again, like I like certain facets of history, and that's not always great because I pay attention to more things than I do others, and I sound fucking stupid when I'm talking about like U.S. history. I'm like I've told you, when we were watching The Patriot, and I was like, but what war is this one about? And Mike was like, please get out. Like, please stop. And again, to my credit, I was very stoned and very tired, but like I'd never seen it, so it was just like,
Jason
what's
Isaacs
this
is
one
so
about?
hot in that you're like, why is he the bad guy? I don't understand.
And I've just never, I don't know, like those types of movies again feel like propagandy kind of too, because it's like join the military, be in the and I don't like that type of like I just don't. That's not for me. It's not because I don't. That's my personal nightmare is joining the army. Like no offense to the people in the army, thank you for what you do, but I just could never do it, and I see how horribly they're treated too. But yeah, I like the real history, not the like, look how great the Americans are, pay no attention to the over here type of
Yes,
and we have plenty of those here. So so I like, but I also like ones that make it weird, like this. Take history like an Inglourious Bastards and flip it. That's really fun, I think.
Yeah, I think that those are the ones that I like. Like a lot of the ones you just mentioned. I like Platoon. I like
Never seen that one either.
It's good. I haven't seen it in a while. And I like Full Metal Jacket, but mostly because I like to say, "Get off my obstacle." Like I like to pretend I'm the guy.
I just love, what's his name? Papa from Stranger Things. I think he's so
Matthew
handsome.
Modine.
Just a dreamboat.
And young Matthew Modine is dreamy. I remember I watched him in this weird sailing movie called Wind, and I was very obsessed with that.
I'd watch sailing for him. Okay.
Yes.
And that's a tough feat.
He makes sailing interesting.
Yes.
But war movies are like second to Westerns in like the bottom of my interest list. That's not saying I don't like them, because I do like the good ones. I like Saving Private Ryan. I don't like to watch it very often because it's a very hard watch. But like,
long too.
It is long. Yeah. But it's just the thing that I don't necessarily like about them, or that I only like the really good ones, is that it's just always such a dude party that I'm like, unless we're really exploring masculinity, which I thought The Dirty Dozen did very well, and I think a lot of the ones we've been talking about do very well. That's what I'm interested in war movies. And I think this one does that. And I'm really excited to talk about it. I think, there's a lot of feminism in here, even though we really only have one lady killer. Don't think this passes the Bechdel test, but I would say it is
But hey, we have a lady killer.
We do have a lady killer.
When you listen to the Switchblade Sisters episode, you will hear us at the end go, "Is there a lady killer in Overlord?"
We do.
I guess we'll find
I
out.
didn't mean to question you, but we were like, wait, I don't.
None
all
of
of us
us
could remember.
Oh yes, and she has a flame killer, a flamethrower.
I mean, does
It
kill.
does
It
kill.
Yeah.
So I think that counts as a double lady killer because
for sure.
Flame killers,
bonus.
flamethrowers. Jeez,
It's a hard
I missed
one.
1 week and suddenly I cannot talk anymore.
What's a pod again?
What is a podcast?
What is this pod you speak of?
Well, let's see if I can figure out how to podcast in our next category, her story.
I am so much happier now that I'm dead. Technically missing. Soon to be presumed dead. Gone. And my lazy, lying, cheating, oblivious husband will go to prison for my murder.
And this is a section where we tell the story of the film. Spoilers abound, so listen at your own risk. We begin with Private Ed Boyce and his team being airdropped under fire over occupied France near the end of World War II. He's absolutely terrified, and it's absolutely terrifying, and makes you wonder how anyone survives combat at all. It's also super cool.
Oh, this opening is
It's
incredible.
Love
Yes,
it. I saw
amazing.
someone like totally ripping it apart on Reddit, and I was like, "What?" Like they were like, "I love the movie except for the opening," and I
Except
was
for
like,
how cool the opening is.
What?
To me, one of the most harrowing
Yes.
depictions of being like shot down and inside a plane for one of these movies. Like I said, I've seen a million war movies, and this was one of the best depictions of that.
Intense.
Like you usually see the planes are a secondary where we see them going down. We don't see them getting like shot to pieces inside. And then the wing balls off. And then the fact that the whole of the plane was practical, and they were like stunt people flying through fire.
Of this movie is practical, which is
Yeah.
shocking.
It's
Yeah.
so
Sorry.
cool.
Sorry, I forgot how to podcast too. I totally just interrupted. For so long.
I think we're excited to talk about it because it's an exciting movie. So Boyce and his team's mission is to destroy a radio tower on top of a rural church that's blocking air assistance for D-Day, which is set for tomorrow. At this point, I want to say that my grandfather, Richard Hollis, was on the Normandy beach on D-Day.
Wow.
Yeah, he survived too.
He survived.
Mhm.
Wow.
Yeah. He
Oh
would
my
tell us
gosh.
stories, like war stories. And I was really young, so I don't remember a whole lot of it. But I remember him telling me something about like getting the sheet shot off of him while he was trying to sleep or something, which probably wasn't true. But he had all these stories. So yeah.
Man. I mean, yeah, talk about Dunkirk. Like, if you watched that movie, you'd have been like, I remember that day.
Exactly. I know. Well, he was on the D-Day beach, and then on my other side, my grandmother was a wave, and then my other grandfather was was in the military too. The wave was like the women's
Yeah.
Yeah, it was
I
super
can't remember
cool.
what it
So
stands for. Yeah.
Man,
I don't
yeah.
remember either, but it was like the ladies' army. They did cool stuff. Anyways, and they all survived. So that's why I'm here.
Yay for surviving the war.
Yes. On the ground, he reconnects with Ford, Tibbet, Chase, and Dawson, who dies when he steps on a landmine. In the forest, they meet Chloe, a French scavenger who lives in the village. Chloe takes them to her house where she lives with her little brother Paul and her sick aunt who was taken to the church by the occupying Germans. They also executed Chloe's parents. After a bit of tension, Chloe gives the troops shelter in the attic. And while Tibbet and Dawson check out the church, Ford and Boyce watch from above as Captain Waffner prepares to rape her as part of their, quote, arrangement. Boyce ignores Ford's orders and intervenes, taking Waffner hostage. On a mission to the church, Boyd finds some horrific medical experiments and a tray full of ominous needles. Injecting the serum inside seems to cause corpses to come back to life. It's very Frankenstein.
It
Nazi
really
coded.
was. Like,
Yeah.
I was kind of like even the CGI, or because it wasn't CGI, the practicals of that head, it looked just like the skeleton that comes to life in
cool.
the like the school scene. I thought it was really rad. Yeah.
The syringes themselves were neat looking. Like they're
Mhm.
yeah.
I was
I
like,
agree.
that looks like a Jello shot too.
Mhm.
And I've never played Wolfenstein, but I think this is like
I have.
There is-
it's a lot.
This is
Yeah.
very Wolfenstein. I played
Mhm.
Wolfenstein back in the day.
Okay. Well, no, which I just thought was werewolfy, but this
If
is
only.
zombie. I know.
I know. It was one of those games, like, I'd be playing it on our computer and my mom would be like, what is this?
I'm like, don't judge me.
Just fighting Nazis.
I'm killing
in a
Nazis,
castle.
Mom.
I'm killing
Yeah.
Nazis.
Yeah.
That's good, right?
Right.
Like, you are
Fighting
9
fascism.
years old.
Yes.
So Boyce also finds Rosenfeld, along with a whole bunch of zombie-like monsters the Germans are keeping in cells. He and Rosenfeld escape, and Ford, back at the house, questions Waffner about the mysterious syringe. I like how I was like, back there, pointing to the attic. But Waffner is not giving up any information. When Dawson gets too close, Waffner shoots him and he dies. And okay, here I have to say, this kept autocorrecting Waffner to Wagner, which I don't think is a coincidence because Wagner is
he's
the one
that made the music.
he composed all the Nazi music. Yeah. So, but Boyce injects one of the syringes he stole from the lab into Dawson, and after a minute, it brings him back to life. But Dawson's feeling kind of weird. He suddenly has increased strength, but he can't seem to control it. As dark goo fills his veins, he snaps his head back so hard that he breaks his neck,
fucking cool.
causing his collarbones to pop out of his skin. Yikes.
I'm sure you
yes.
loved that.
Oh, I did.
It's
You know
so
what?
cool though.
It is.
Like,
It's too
so
cool
cool.
for me to be grossed
Yes.
out.
Yeah.
Like, ordinarily I would be like losing.
and
my
they
fucking
haven't
mind.
overpulled their punches by that point. It's not like
Right.
it's been back to back crazy gore.
No,
like,
and so when
you
it happens,
earn
you're
it.
just like,
Yes.
I didn't know
What?
this was
What the
happen.
fuck?
Gonna happen.
Damn.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Yeah.
Exactly. Even shooting Dawson a million times doesn't stop him, and Boyd has to obliterate his head with the butt of his rifle to keep him from coming back to life. In all the what the fuckness, Waffner escapes and snatches Paul. But before he can get away, Ford shoots half his face off. Ford still wants to focus on the mission, but Boyce refuses his orders and insists they go to rescue Paul while also blowing up the church and lab. In a cool plan that kills some bad Nazis, Tibbet and Rosenfeld provide cover outside while Ford, Boyce, and Chloe sneak into the church. Inside, they split up. Ford starts wiring explosives while Chloe and Boyce look for Paul. But what they find are zombie mutants, the evil German scientist, and Waffner, who has taken 2 of the syringes and is now a raging half-face monster. It's also incredibly cool.
It's
So
insane.
cool.
The teeth
So cool.
gross me out. Like, I don't know why, but there's something about like the multiple teeth right here that really I didn't like it at all.
And I remember, I'll talk about this in a minute, but like watching this, when he gets impaled from behind and he's like, oh,
I know.
I had the thought of like, this is why I watch horror movies, because
Yeah.
this shit
Yes.
is so awesome.
Cool.
There's scenes like this.
Exactly. So while Boyce helps Chloe survive monsters, find Paul, and escape, Waffner beats the shit out of Ford, Texas Chainsaw Massacre style. He gets hung up on a hook, and it's awful. Boyce joins the fight and distracts Waffner long enough for Ford to for Ford to take the serum too. After a really cool fight, Boyce and Ford tag team to blow up an oxygen tank right in front of Waffner. But it's still not enough to kill him, so Ford locks Boyce outside of a gate and stays back to set all the bombs off. It's a little bit Jaws, it's a little bit Armageddon.
It's a mix of a lot of different things.
It is,
it's
yeah.
a genre pile up right there.
And it's really fun and it works, and none of it feels like a
and it's
ripoff.
being Wyatt Russell for some reason was just like, it felt like a throwback in and of itself. Like,
Right.
Yeah, because this feels like an
Absolutely.
escape. Like there are some lines, like the line he delivers when he's like, "How's it feel?" and he's like, "Not fucking great." I was like, "That's a Snake Plissken
That's
line."
Snake Plissken.
Like,
Yep.
yes, it's
I just
a
saw
Big
this-
Trouble line. Like he embodied that kind of cadence and aura.
I saw this interview the two of them, Kurt Russell and Wyatt Russell, were doing about Monarch, and they were reading some comment where they're like, the dude who's playing a young Kurt Russell sure does a great Kurt Russell impression.
And he's like, well,
I mean,
literally in my
why?
DNA.
Mhm. So sacrificing himself, Floyd, God damn, Ford blows up the church tower and lab to complete the mission. Boyce meets up with the rest of the team as they listen to D-Day successfully unfold on the radio. They decide not to tell the U.S. military about the lab because our side shouldn't have it either, and find out that they'll be folded into Charlie Company. They got a job to do. Pew, pew, pew.
The A-Team.
Yes. Okay, so Sammy, what is your story with Overlord?
So I saw this opening weekend actually. When I had first moved to Chicago, like I couldn't believe how old this movie was. Like I feel like it just came out. It's almost 10 years old. I had maybe lived there for like 3 weeks at that point, and it was just rough being in a new city. I didn't know anyone, and I didn't really feel like I knew even the people that I knew at that point either. You know, it was really lonely. So it was a strange time in my life, and it just feels like hazy kind of when I look back at it. I like had to ask Mike. I was like, when did we see, like who went with us to this? Which theater did we go to? But we went to the ArcLight, which is where Cabrina Green used to be. And it was actually, like, it's a really cool theater. But Mike always had to tell me that every time we were there.
Candyman.
Like, Candyman, yeah. But I forgot a lot about it, as I do when I haven't seen a movie in a really long time. And I've only seen it once. So it really did feel like I was watching it for the first time again, which is fine because I got to be blown away by those practical effects all over again. And I love how it feels like you're dropped into a video game, you know, like for me who grew up loving video games and can't really play them anymore because they make me really like the motion sickness is really bad. It's like getting the high of playing a game, but only watching like the story cut scenes, you know, it's like when I get to watch Mike play a game and I'm like, yay, my highs don't hurt, which is really nice. But of course, I had to find a couple of trivia things. So yes, you were right. It was originally reported that the film would be the fourth. Well, there's a couple of things. The fourth part of the Cloverfield film series, that it was supposed to be. It was like the first thing Mike said to me too when we started it. And then I saw it on the IMDb as well, which makes sense.
I
Bad Robot.
That. Yeah.
J.J. Abrams,
Yeah. And then he announced that it was, it was going to be its own thing. It did not belong in the film series. And then it was rumored to be a Wolfenstein adaptation or a Marvel Cinematic Universe prequel. And fans had suggested the Nazi serum was connected to Cloverfield's deep sea nectar, while other people speculated that Corporal Ford is the grandfather of Marvel's John Walker. So like people have a lot of fan theories about this. There's another theory that I'll get to in a second that kind of plays into that. But the film, as I'm sure we can guess, was heavily inspired by the real life Nazi experiments that were happening. I don't think that lab was that far off is probably what it looked like, except for the reanimated corpses, which, you know what, also, who knows? Who knows what they were doing in there? So the original version of the script had, like, it was totally different, I guess. Like, Chloe was going to be more of a main hero, and it was going to have more focus on the horror elements, which I kind of wish that, like, they had kept that, because then we would have a little bit more to talk about the lady of the hour, and then this is my favorite factoid, and this one is for Jen. Like Brightburn, that was released a year later, Overlord could be viewed as a horror version of a popular superhero origin. The rivalry between Captain is it Waffner? Do you say it like
Waffner? Yeah,
okay.
I would say Waffner, maybe Waffner.
I don't know. I'm saying
Waffner
because it's a little easier for me to remember.
Also, he's a Nazi, so
and he doesn't get it. Yeah, sorry, you don't get my time. Okay. Even though he's a fictional character. so the rivalry between him and Wyatt Russell's character plays out like a version of Captain America and the Red Skull. Both take an experimental super soldier serum, with the villain preceding the hero taking it. The facial disfigurement resembles the Red Skull, while Ford remains normal after, taking the serum, which is exactly what happens to Captain America, which is like, why did one make you weird looking and why did one make you normal? And then Wyatt Russell would go on to play a version of Captain America and the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. So people kind of have connected it all. But I like, it really is like, if it's been a while since I watched that first Captain America, but the similarities are there. And I'd love like a fucking like rated R, hard R superhero, like zombie, like thing like this. That would be so sick. And this was Bad Robot's first R movie too, as well.
Okay. Yeah. Well, and Rachel and I cover Brightburn on Girls on the Boys also.
I figured you had. I just watched it recently. Oh, also, two things. I usually have something that I can wear to be themed of the movie.
You do.
I had no Nazi paraphernalia.
That's a good thing, though.
Yes. But I did have an Indiana Jones.
I was going to say, you have plenty of Indiana Jones stuff.
He fights Nazis.
There we go.
And
that
then
works.
also, I wanted to show off my water cup that I got today in the mail that I have not showed off until this moment, because I wanted to kind of give us some levity for the episode in which we'll be talking about Nazis. I ordered this from Mexico. It is a Mabel sipper, and it's a beaver cup. From Hoppers.
Oh my God.
And her little feet. And these are her thumbs. And I love her so much. And I had to pay a tariff for it because he's not from here. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Nice beaver, Sammy.
She's importing beavers.
Yeah.
I'm importing beavers. And there is not a room in this house without Hopper's propaganda, is what I will call it, in it. So if
I
you
support
see
that
sipping
propaganda
this throughout the episode and episodes to come,
It is. You can kind of bring her slowly up into frame, like,
or if one of us says something particularly funny, she'd be like, "Whoa."
Mike was super irritated because like we had to they wouldn't deliver it without a check, so then we had to like pay this extra thing because it was like the tariffs are all fucked up.
Tariffs.
Yeah.
So Mike is like trying to figure this out all the while, like in the inner corner is just like her sitting there like that, and he's like all of this work and all that just for this like bug-eyed cup. And
like,
I love
take
her.
me home.
I love. She was just like, please, someone wants me, and it was me, and now I have her. So that's my story.
I mean, we're working on Rambo becoming our unofficial fifth co-host,
and
I think
Hopper
is
in the
six.
back so he can kind of sit in the back and we can see him. So I like, for whatever reason, I've been using these episodes as a form of show and tell to live out my title.
You know what? That's why we're doing a video. So
I've been showing off my beaver for 2 episodes in a row.
That's what we promise here at Lady Killers HQ.
It is.
I want to get the views, get the YouTube channel up and running. So like and subscribe if you want more Sammy Beaver content.
Exactly. Yes. You heard it here first. Well, Rachel, what about you? What's your story with Overlord?
I saw this in the theater and also was like, wait, how old is this movie? I cannot believe it's been that long. It's been almost 10 years. Crazy. Okay. And I really enjoyed it when I first saw it. And I'm not exactly sure why I haven't revisited it much since then, to be honest. I think this is my 3rd time watching it overall and love it. I feel like this movie's underrated. I think this movie is really fun. And I really admired watching it this time with just, having some space from it. Just like the pacing, the effects. I feel like it's aged really well. The performances and some of these characters and everything. It's like, damn, this is actually like a really good movie. It looks great. And I think it's like having a lot of fun. And I feel like we don't necessarily get a whole lot of these. And now just like looking back and knowing everybody that was involved with this movie, it's kind of wild that it got the release that it did. And like the push that it did is kind of crazy because I mean, the team behind this, like we haven't really talked about it, but even like what they've done. Oh, and I've got a fun fact that I know you guys will love. So Julius Avery, the director, also did The Pope's Exorcist, which is amazing.
The Pope's Exorcist is what
which is amazing.
It's Russell Crowe at his best. Apex Mountain.
Oh, I mean, him on that little Vespa, I can.
On his Vespa,
good.
It
had such high meme potential. It was just for us.
It's just perfect. And then like the writers of this movie, so like Mark Smith, he did Twisters, the sequel there.
Love
Vacancy, which is actually really fun. The Revenant.
Love that. Ooh.
And then here's the fun one. Billy Ray, one of the other screenwriters. He's done some of the Hunger Games, Captain Phillips, Richard Jewell, but you guys, he wrote the Nicole Kidman AMC promo.
We come to this place for magic.
We come to this place to fight Nazi zombie.
Yes. I think this was the movie that inspired that commercial.
Only
I know,
he had like a flamethrower before she like.
That is the only thing that would make that better. We come to this place for flamethrowers.
That AMC is like where my Walmart is, like, and my Whole Foods. Wow. Like I go to it every time I go to or walk by it every time I go to Whole Foods, and I'm like,
damn, what is that like?
I just absorb we come to this place for Walmart.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So, an icon of our time. And here he is writing Overlord. So, a man of many talents.
He's just why doesn't he have a star?
Yeah,
he should have a star on the Walk of Fame for that alone.
Literally.
Go fund for that, because it is the fans that pay for a star. So maybe
really?
Did you know that?
Well, I need to get a lot more people stars.
It's like $15,000 for a star.
Yes. And people pay, like fans get the money for it. So anytime someone's getting a star, it's usually when they have a movie coming out and it's like promo, and they did not pay for it or were gifted it. Fans paid for it.
Well, I'm starting a fan campaign right now for Alexander Skarsgård to get a star on the Hot Walk of Fame.
Was cup and ready to go. Jen.
It was. I was like, here we go.
Can you imagine the outfit he would wear to that ceremony?
Oh my God, I know.
I might not survive. Well, Shelby, what's your story with Overlord?
I did not see it in theaters. I would have loved to. I think this was honestly, like Sammy said, this is kind of a weird time in my life. I think it was kind of a dark time in my life. And
2018 wasn't great.
Yeah, weird. That's why we're friends. We have a lot of parallels that we've talked about. And so I remember watching it at home, but I don't think I paid much attention to it. Couldn't tell you why at this moment, but watching it again for this, I was like, holy shit. I was like on my feet. I was like, this is a be on your feet, like rooting. Like I felt more patriotic than I have in years.
Right? It's like watching the Olympics,
It was. It was like, yeah. Get those cherries. Like, yeah. Like, oh my God. I was like, I looked down and I was in like an old timey nurse's outfit all of a sudden. I was like, I don't know what's happening.
I was going to stop saluting.
I was saluting the whole time. Yeah. It was just such an adrenaline rush, but it was like, I was glad though, because I was like, and then of course I would get to parts and I'm like, I swear, I know I've seen this, but for some reason my brain was like, nah, not this for right now. But watching it now, it was just so fun. It was a blast. Like I said, I was texting my dad. I was like, I know you don't like horror, but this is like World War II and like, you got to watch. It's just so fun. And it was just, I don't know. It was just a wild ride. And I feel like honestly, it feels like I watched for the first time. And like you said, Rachel, I don't know why this movie isn't more celebrated.
Right.
Like, why it's not.
It didn't do well either, which like, so, it didn't do awful, but like, it did fine. Yes. And I think it was kind of like how I feel that The Bride is going to be. It's going to be regulated to cult stat. Like it's a cult movie to me.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
These types of movies they're not appreciated at their time. It's only when we look back at the slop that we've gotten since then and we're like, oh, I guess maybe that movie was fucking rad.
Yeah. And like, I don't know if you guys have ever had this. This is like a crazy thing I do, but sometimes when I see something years later and I didn't see it in theaters, I almost feel bad for the movie ticket I didn't buy. I'm like,
totally.
I'm so sorry.
Jennifer's
I did not support you at the time.
It's a little bit of a hard sell, I feel like, too. Just you think about it, because it's like, okay, Nazis and zombies. Like, that I feel like is not necessarily going to like have people like run into the theaters. And so I think that it's more than that. It's better.
It is. And there's that other one. Is it Dead Snow? Is that
Dead Snow? Which is also fun, but
is also totally fun. But I think maybe at the time I was like, is this? I don't know. I don't know. Remember why I kind of set it aside. I didn't pay much attention in my brain at the time. But I'm so glad you guys brought it up. And like I said last week, we were just like, who's the girl? Like, who's the girl in the movie? Who's the lady? And she's awesome. And I loved her. And I love this movie so much. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
End of rant.
Yeah, I think I saw this in theaters too, and I made Corey go with me, and I think we made a couple of other friends. I say made, like I convinced them to see this because I was like, I don't know exactly what this is, but I know J.J. Abrams is attached. That was back when I was still kind of really into Lost, and I think that was around the Castle Rock time, or Castle Rock was being talked about.
And
So
it was
like,
already out in 2018, and which is arguably the best season, I think.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely, because it's got a Skarsgård in it.
Oh, come on.
But also, I love Cloverfield too. That might be something that maybe we can talk about. Well, we could at least talk about 10 Cloverfield Lane because
yeah, and I think
Cloverfield
Lizzie
has ladies in it.
Yeah.
Like,
oh, that's right.
It's got the aliens aren't women.
They're yeah, exactly.
It has
babies.
Yeah,
that's true. That's true. It lays eggs. Okay.
Yes.
We're putting it on the list.
On the list.
On the list. I was very excited for this. And I just remember, but I also had no clue what it was going to be about, except that it was going to be a war movie. And so I think it was when Dawson's neck snaps back. I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
This is not what I thought it was going to be at all. And I love it. And then it just kind of explodes into awesomeness. And it's like, it's got a lot to say, but it's also a really feel good story. You know, like it gives you the death you need so that you feel like there are stakes. But the ending is so like triumphant and it's fun and they're tossing a baseball around. And it's such a great movie. And I have been a huge evangelist for this movie since then, even though I do feel like
on like the corner,
oh yeah, I'm like, y'all should see
Overlord is good.
Actually, yes, but I think you're right. Like I forget about this for long stretches of time because people don't talk about it. But like, I also am obsessed with this cast, and we're going to talk about a lot of these men. But I think there's a lot of complicated explorations of masculinity here, which I think makes this a feminist movie, and I'm really excited to talk about it. Okay, so we are going to talk about our lady killer, but we're going to talk about a lot of guys in this movie too, because we can talk about feminism and talk about men too.
I'm deciding if I want to change our bio on Instagram from like dedicated to female identifying killers and horror to like dedicated to like feminine rage. You know what I mean? Like, it's not just a feeling, it's a lifestyle. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Because I'm like, it's more of like it's what we say every episode. It's like they don't have to kill for us. If it's a female story, if it's about a woman, that's all it takes.
Well, and I think Ravenous is a feminist movie, even though it has one lady in it. And The Thing is a feminist movie too. So, you know it can be feminist.
I would love to have that conversation. So, yeah.
I would love to have that conversation as well.
Yeah. Oh, I've got so many thoughts. So, yes,
She's locked and loaded.
Put them on the list. Yeah. Maybe we do a hey, men are around too.
We're going to have this movie is feminist actually month.
Yes. Oh. I mean, yep, I'm writing it down right now. Okay, well, let's talk about our ladies and our dudes in our next category. Who is she?
I just wish we could all get along like we used to in middle school. I wish that I could bake a cake made out of rainbows and smiles and we'd all eat and be happy.
She doesn't even go here.
Do you even go to this school?
Okay, so our lady killer is Chloe, and she's played by Matilda Olivier, and I love her so much. She wields a flamethrower. She's fucking awesome. I do wish she was in this a little bit more, even though I don't think I would change very much about this movie because I do really love, like, this is just a really great cast, really well cast, and a lot of really great characters, all kind of firing on all cylinders, you know, and it weaves so well together, you know. Our victims, Nazis and monsters. And I originally took him off the list because he's not Chloe's victim, but I'm going to put Waffner here because he's played by Pilao Asbeck, and I just am obsessed with this guy. He's
is this the guy from Game of Thrones?
He's in Game of Thrones too. Yes,
Greyjoy. Yeah, and I love him in that. Like he's phenomenal in that.
He's just so unhinged. He's also in like he's just got this like unpredictable aura to him. You know, like
it's a cocked eyebrow. Like there's just something like unpredictable. Like he could go. He's a wild card a little bit. I feel like.
He's in this movie called ISS, which nobody saw, but I thought it was really good. And it's about the International Space Station, and it's a Russian crew. He's on the Russian crew, and then an American crew, and they're all friends. And then war breaks out on the ground,
He's
and
also
they're all
in the
stuck up
Salem's
there.
Lot, new one,
That's
which
right.
is
Was he? He
well,
was
they changed his
Straker.
name.
He's Straker, yeah.
Straker.
Oh,
yes.
he's also. Oh, yeah. He's in the Ghost in the Shell, the controversial live action. But
Oh,
I like his
that one.
character. He plays Batu with like the eyes that are
cool.
He's just so
screens
cool.
or
So-
something. Yeah, it's cool.
So he's been around, you know.
Yeah,
he's
he's
been
been
put
around.
out there. Okay.
He's more than just a Greyjoy, but yeah,
Yes.
he's fantastic in this role. I just love him so much, and you can tell he is having so much fun too when he gets to
Oh,
be
yeah.
a disgusting monster. You know,
Mhm.
and I'm talking about before he gets his face blown off. He's a disgusting monster there too. Okay, so our weapons: a flamethrower, guns, her sexuality, which I want to talk about, and then I think she uses the American soldiers as weapons. So
Yeah, I do too.
I agree.
Yeah,
I want to
would
talk
agree.
about them for a little bit. So we've got Boyce, who's played by Jovan Adepo, and I fucking love him. This is the first thing I'd ever seen him in, but he's now been in.
He was in this because of Welcome to Derry. Like I was
Yeah.
blown away. I was like, oh my god, it's his dad.
Exactly. He's in two Stephen Kings because he is Leroy Hanlon in Welcome to Derry,
And
and he's Larry Underwood
That's
in The
right.
Stand.
Oh my
Yeah.
god.
And he's
Mhm.
really good in that, I think.
He
And,
is.
like,
I think so too. He's one of the
because
best parts of
it's
that
not,
show. I
Franny
think.
and him are my favorite characters that they cast, I feel like.
me
I mean,
too.
It was
obviously
funny seeing him in
Skarsgård
this. I was like, oh, it's baby him. Like, it's
Yes. He looks so
so
young.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah. He's all grown up and like dad.
Yes.
Hot
such a
in
dad,
Welcome to
yeah.
Derry. Yeah,
Mhm.
but he's just so I just love him. And then Ford Wyatt Russell, who is just
gosh.
super dreamboat, and
Yeah.
he's kind of an asshole in this too. Although an asshole with a
Which
heart
made
of
it
gold,
better.
which made it hotter.
Oh, he's perfect.
Yes.
You know what's funny too? I was thinking about it because this is the kind of person I am. I'm like, how cute is it that if I'm shelving these movies on my shelf, that Overboard and Overlord are probably going to be right next to each other?
Oh my god.
That's so funny.
That
I
is
love
cute.
Overboard.
Ah.
The
I
sweetness
just
of physical
swallowed a
media.
Yeah.
Yes, and this is I think he's the only one where they are that Kurt Russell and Goldie Hawn had together, and
Yeah.
he
Yeah,
looks
he
just
is.
like
Yeah.
both of them
Yes.
too.
It really
Like,
does.
You
Yeah.
can totally see it, you know. And I just love their family too. They're so
Me
sweet.
too.
That's- They're
I
they're
wanna be
my
a
Miss
treasure.
Precious Claus.
Yeah, yes.
That's
Yeah.
relationship goals right there.
Absolutely. We don't
It is.
deserve them, you know.
We really don't.
And then we have Tibbet, who's played by John Magaro, who was just in The Bride.
Yeah, I was like,
Yes.
I recognize him.
Well, the entire time I was watching The Bride, I was like, I fucking know you. I
He's
cannot
in a lot of
place
stuff.
it.
He's kind of
He
a character actor of this
Yeah,
era.
I
Well, and I
recognize
know
him
you've
from
seen
stuff, yeah.
September 5, right?
September
5th?
5. Yeah, I was just
Yeah,
going to
he's in
say
that.
he's great in that. And that is really good. And not many people saw it. So
I've
it's,
never
I
even
love-
heard of that.
I've never
Oh,
heard
I
of it
like
either.
it.
it's really good. It's about the Munich story at the Munich
The
Olympics when they
hostages.
took the
Yeah.
hostages, but
Yeah.
it's told entirely from inside the news studio. So it's a lot
Okay.
of like, what do we show? How do we
I
show
love
this? Are
stuff
we-
like that.
Oh, I
It
do
is so
too.
good. It's got Peter
Ooh.
Sarsgaard in it also.
wow.
So
Oh, it's
yeah,
great. Also,
very,
this,
very good.
this like I don't know. One of my toxic traits I feel like is that I have a thing for like short, sassy, like Italian guys.
Uh-huh.
Hey, I
Like,
get it.
I
can
lo-
see
I love
it.
that.
So much fun.
Yeah.
I know. And he
It's
just
not a bad
owns this
thing.
role.
They're not
I-
that. I mean, come on, I get it.
I'm like, oh,
Mhm.
I just like love him in this.
The
I'm like, oh yeah, I
bravado,
would
yeah.
absolutely like to date this person.
I like
Oh,
the wisecracking
yes.
New Yorker. you
Yeah,
know?
Okay,
exactly.
well,
Yeah. Well,
Hold
the way
that
he's
thought,
like
'cause-
mean to the kid, but you know it's not gonna last. Like,
Oh, it does-
yeah.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
he
Doesn't
goes
last.
when it happens.
Well,
Mhm.
spoiler, I'm about to ask you who you would date out of this cast. So hold that thought. And then we have Rosenfeld, who I love. He's just so cute in this. And that was when I was like, I have a thing for tall, skinny guys who are super sweet. He's played by Dominic Applewhite. Chase, who's played by Ian de Castecker. And he's cute too, but he just has this really fun death scene that I like. And then I want to give a special shout out because I had forgotten these guys were in this.
Yep, me too.
Dawson is played by Jacob Anderson, who is Grey Worm
Grey Worm,
from
yes.
Game of Thrones.
And Interview with the Vampire now.
That's
show.
right.
Yeah. Well, it's
I
his
still
big
haven't
claim to fame
watched
these
that.
days. Me neither, but I know he's in it because I see
He's
all of the
just-
marketing material.
He's so hot too.
He
And
is.
he's got a nice voice. I loved
Yes.
his character in Game of Thrones too. I mean, I think we all did.
Oh
And
yeah, absolutely.
yeah.
Grey Worm
he needed
forever.
someone. Yeah.
She did, yes. And then we have Grinauer, who's played by Joseph Quinn, like
When
little
I
baby.
saw him, I was like, "Is that Joseph Quinn?" Like,
I did not recognize him. I'm going to be honest.
Because I do think he got some, like, his hair or something done with his hair.
he got something done.
Yeah, he definitely did. Because I was like, he somehow has less hair here in Overlord than he does in Stranger Things, which I know is a wig, but like even during like the red carpet walking and stuff like that, I was like, damn, you look.
He went to Turkey. It's
days.
fine. A lot of it's fine.
You got that Stranger Things paycheck, and you said, "Give me some hair."
I get it. You do you, boo.
I get it.
Yeah.
Oh, I get it.
And then I have to mention Sergeant Renzen, Bokeem Woodbine.
I
who
love him.
I just
I do too.
king. I love
him
anytime
as
he is on
Fargo,
screen, you
too.
know it's going to be a good time.
It's
you
really
know?
fun seeing him in such a serious role too. Like you see him like
Yes.
be
Yeah.
funny so often that like
Mhm.
when I saw him, I was like, that can't be. It was like, oh my God, it is. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
in it for such a short amount of time.
For such a short
But he makes such an impression, like just
He
perfect
does.
casting for that role because he is having a little bit of fun with it too. But
Oh yeah,
it
when
is
he's
like,
like,
a
I told you
super
I'd show you a
serious
good time, didn't I?
thing.
Like,
Mhm, as he's like throwing them out
Yeah.
the door of the airplane. Yeah, so good. Okay, so Shelby, who of all of these people would you date if you had to choose one? And you can
the
choose
actor,
the actor
or the character,
or the character, either one.
honestly, both. It would be Ford. Honestly, both.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
I
Unfortunately.
I just have a thing for like assholes with a heart of gold. It's and
Yeah.
I know it's not like
I.
there's a whole romance section about that. I get it. I'm not like
Mhm.
unique, but
I have
that
an
is
enemies to lovers sticker on
Oh,
somewhere around here. I have a sticker right here that says morally gray is my favorite color, as I have told you guys.
Mm.
So yes.
I found an enemies to lovers candle at TJ Maxx the other day. I didn't end up getting it because I didn't like the smell, but it was like
mainstream these days.
Yeah. Yeah, it is.
Mhm.
What does that say about all of us? I don't know. Ask a therapist. But
Hey,
like
the heart
bad
wants what the
boys.
heart wants.
Yes.
Also,
The heart
it's
wants what the
all
heart
fictional,
wants.
so
Yes.
It's
that's
all
the thing. I
fictional.
can imaginarily date the assholes on screen because I
Mhm.
don't date assholes in real life anymore. You know, so I get my
See,
fix
same.
We've
You know,
in
earned
a
I
it,
just
safe
don't
way.
date it
Yeah.
all anymore. So I just,
Mhm.
you know, this is where it is. So yeah,
Yeah.
definitely Ford, I would say, just because he's like a leader, you know, he's a corporal,
Yeah.
something about that. You know, I'm not even a man
Mhm.
in uniform kind of gal, like at all.
Me
But there was
either.
something about his like being like, we gotta
Authority,
do the
yeah.
mission. We're here for
Yeah.
the mission. I'm like, yeah, we are.
Mhm.
Yeah, we are. Yeah,
Well, he's the Raphael of this cast too.
Mhm.
You know,
for
He
sure.
would definitely the moody one.
If we're
you
gonna
know.
give everyone their
If we're gonna give
TMNT,
turtle-
If we're all gonna, let's make them all turtles.
We should add that section
We
in
should
as
have
we
the turtle
recast
metric.
it.
Yeah, for every
April
episode.
O'Neil.
Yes. Oh, right. Okay, Rachel, are you choosing Tibbet in this
You know,
cast or somebody else?
I mean, yeah, I would go with Tibbet for sure. Also, but if I had, Ford.
would you
in
say
real
no to
life,
Wyatt Russell?
I would not say
Like-
no. And like, are you kidding me? Just like the possibility of like, are you telling me
Can
I
I
could
go
to
to your
family
dad's?
dinner
Yes.
Right?
at your dad's?
With
Oh my
And with your
God.
mom,
With
like,
Pa.
be like,
They call
sorry,
him
I'm just
Pa,
gonna sob.
which is the
There?
cutest thing ever. They call him Pa. He just did an interview where Kate called in and Wyatt was with him, and they both called him Pa. Like, and you could tell it was like they don't say that normally on like TV. They just kind of said. I was like,
so
you guys call him
sweet.
Pa in private?
I just like,
plus, I bet Oliver
couldn't
Hudson would
couldn't
be
get over
there
that.
too. And
Oh my
And I think he is
another
a
hottie.
dreamboat too.
Mm,
Man, the whole
yeah.
Hudson Russell
They're
clan.
so hot. They're all so
Right,
hot.
Han. Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Han. They made
And
good looking.
The other
kids.
thing I like about Ford too, it's like he's capable and like he
Yes.
is a
Yeah.
leader. It's not like, yes, he's kind of like an asshole, and I know we're going to talk more about that and like his role in this movie, but also it's like he is capable and he's out
Oh,
there
yeah.
and he's putting himself and he's taking that leadership like by the reins and
Mhm.
making this happen and doing his best to keep everybody safe, and like that's very attractive. You know, just like
Yeah.
somebody that can like take control of a situation and do it in a thoughtful way. It's like he's backing it up with experience and
Yes.
you know, the mission, of course. You know, we're going to talk about that and prioritizing that, and you know, for better or worse, but it's like there's something very attractive about that too. But yeah,
Oh,
I
yeah.
don't know, John Magaro, I find
Competence
very cute.
is so sexy. There's
I know.
Yeah,
Now
right?
I can see that couple, Rachel. Like I'm like, how do I make this happen for her? Like,
Yeah,
I'm
just,
like,
yeah, give me
are you single?
Get a number?
Like, would you be interested in dating my friend who lives in Idaho? Long
Just like,
distance.
ma'am, this is a Wendy's. Like,
Yeah. Guy, and it would, because you know, it would probably be, if I ever ran into it, it would probably be like somewhere at an event and I'd be like hammered off of the free drinks that they're in. It's like,
yeah, actually, we get threatened stuff like that. We actually do run into these people.
Yes, exactly. Like, do you have a moment to talk about
he's
my friend?
Oh, he's married. Oh, well,
he's
all
married.
Right.
They've got a couple of kids.
That's
I think.
okay.
Damn.
Yeah.
Well,
hey, don't let your wife get in the way.
Well, I don't think Kurt Russell is. You know,
just have the fantasy suite.
I mean, not Wyatt Russell. I think is.
I was like, I would never.
No, I was mixing up my Russells. I apologize.
That I do think would take the podcast down if
it
one
really
of us broke up Goldie Hawn and Kurt Russell, Mr. and Mrs. Claus,
the
Mr. and Mrs. Overboard.
Yeah. So why don't you talk to your friend Rachel anymore? Well, have you seen Overlord?
She ruined the relationship.
Well, Sammy, who are you going to date out of this crew?
I mean, I'm forward all the way, which is very rare for me because I do not love a blonde man. That is
well,
not
I was going to say he's
my
blonde.
Cup of tea. I don't, but like I just love his voice, and again, is his aura. Like there's just something about him. Mike and I really loved the show Lodge 49 when it was on AMC, and we were devastated when it got canceled.
Got that stoner vibe to him.
Yeah, so well, and I like that. And Mike actually last night while we were watching this, like he like looked at me, he's like, I think I interviewed Wyatt Russell, and I was like, to live a life in which you say I think I interviewed Wyatt Russell is like, and not that he was like bragging or anything like that. I was just like, but it's been so long because it was like almost 10 years ago, and so we looked it up, and he did for Lodge 49. And we were like like kind of reminiscing over it, and I was like, I totally remember that because I was like, I think you did too, but it was just such a funny like way to word a memory, like maybe. Maybe I did talk with him before.
I also just need to point out the elephant in the room of like, yes, we are all aware that we need therapy, and that's why we are all in therapy because Jovan Adepo in this movie
should
also
be our pick.
No, he's the man. He's who we should be with.
He's
perfect I thought
person.
That the whole movie.
Perfect.
I was
he's
like,
beautiful, perfect human.
Literally,
and yet for me, I was like, I'm too morally gray. Like, you are too good.
I could not wait to talk to you guys about this because I was like, the whole time I was like, oh my God, he's the perfect man. He's so sweet and considerate. He's like a feminist. He went to save her.
Yes.
And I was like, but why do my loins burn for his mean boss?
Yeah.
Why?
And here's the thing. If Wyatt Russell was not in this movie, Jovan Adepo is absolutely my choice.
But
and
again,
I was
like, he's too good. Like, I am too much of a messy, terrible person to like, and I'm not, like, I'm not murdering anybody. Like, but like, I know that I am not like, then I'm capable of a mean thought, I guess, is what I will say.
If we're playing Fuck, Marry, Kill, it's like Ford is the fuck. And,
Voice is the Mary.
We're
killing Wapner. Yes.
And maybe we'll see Tibbet on the side for a second.
Before
the wedding.
Like we meet up every 2 years, like at a certain day. Yeah.
We're swingers. We're all swingers.
We are. We're swingers for Overlord.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm also choosing Wyatt Russell. I've had a crush on Kurt Russell since watching Overboard as a child, and like just absolutely falling in love with him. I even love him in Captain Ron, which that movie.
I love Captain Ron. I wish there was a reason we had to
shoes.
watch it. Oh my God.
Oh, but yeah, so and it's just so funny to watch him now. I think he should be a much bigger star. I think Jovan Adepo should be a much bigger star too.
I do too. And I'm hoping Welcome to Derry gets him to that point.
I am
he's
too.
Fantastic,
and I think
he really is.
I think he's going to be in the new Odyssey movie too.
Ooh,
good. Christopher Nolan. So that's I don't know in what capacity, but I hope he has a decent.
Down for that.
Maybe he's kind of an asshole in that.
So.
Maybe we can all.
Yeah. Maybe that's how we'll date him if he's
maybe
mean.
the tide will change. Yeah.
And I also just want to say one of the reasons I love this movie is we've got a black lead. We've got what feels like colorblind casting, especially
he's not like he's the final boy. I mean, and there are like a couple of different final men, but like he's usually that character is it's like it's the kill your gaze trope too. It's like they're usually the ones that do the sacrifice, and it's like I love to see that. No, he's the hero. This is he's the hero.
And they give him a really great reason why he's a part of this trip. Like his his grandmother was from Haiti, so he speaks French, and that's why he's there. And like I don't know, I just really loved that his entire setup essentially.
Yeah. No, Robin Means Coleman talks about that in Horror Noir about how traditionally, and I always think about Jason Takes Manhattan there. Like you kill the black guy because he's the biggest and the strongest, and that's how you show how powerful the killer is. And here I just love because we've got Bokeem Woodbine in here too, you know, and we've got like Tibbet is an Italian character.
Yeah.
We've got Dominic Applewhite, and really the only mention of like any kind of ethnicity is we're talking about Rosenfeld being Jewish because we are talking about World War II. So it just it's part of the movie that is held up really well, I think.
Yeah, I agree.
All right. Well, we are going to get into a plane, and I'm sorry, ladies, but I am going to throw you out of it. And also, my dad he did never serve in any wars, but he was in the military for a while, and he did these kind of airdrops.
My
And he
dad
would
did
always,
too.
did he? Yeah, he would always tell me about it. And I was like, oh, you're
Yeah.
jumping out of a plane. But I was watching this, and I was like, oh.
Yeah, my dad would talk
maybe it
about
is scary.
rappelling from a helicopter, and I'm like,
How do you
That's crazy.
live through it?
That like,
No, thank you.
it's, like boys today these days are, sorry guys, but like
Yep.
you're not going to. I mean, the time. I guess we'll see. But
Yeah. Well,
but,
yeah. That's
it's
the
like,
thing.
I think of like Red from that '70s show, and he's like, you guys need a war to go to or something.
Mhm. It's
Well,
like,
like,
maybe we don't.
Yeah, like Jen, you were
No,
talking
yeah.
about your grandfather up top. My great great uncle was in. I don't think he went to D-Day, but he was in France, and he's buried there. He died there,
wow.
and and like the local little town, they buried him beautifully. Like my dad and I have always wanted to take a trip there. He has a beautiful headstone. His name was Jose
Wow.
Castillo, and like it was just, I don't know, it's just beautiful, and it's like the town like takes care of the graveyard for the veterans
I
who
love
died
that.
there. Yeah, like still to this day, like they're very grateful. Like,
I mean,
and I
it
don't mean to
affected their
sound like a
country,
huge
like,
propagandist,
so
but
hardcore. Like, because
Yeah.
you even see when she's like, the idea that it's like, there's no war where, like, for where they're coming from. You know what I mean? Like, these are their homes. It's their town. Like,
yeah,
imagine that. I could, like, it.
Yeah.
There's a reason they have so many memorials and they care about their history so much. Unlike, unfortunately, us, because they do not want these things repeated. They
Right.
were there. They remember. And
exactly.
I don't know if we need a wake-up call in some way, shape, or form, but I do think that because it's never happened, nothing like that has happened in our lifetimes here.
Well, outside of 9/11. I would
Yes,
say.
yes,
But that's why I
like
feel like that's
full-blown war. You know
That's
what I
why
mean?
we
Yeah.
will
Like,
never forget. Yeah,
yeah, exactly. And it's like
Yeah.
I mean, imagine like going to the grocery store and your grocery store is bombed. Like
Right.
that's insane. Like it's I mean, it's happening right now in places, but like
Yeah.
we don't have that. And these
Mhm.
American soldiers in this film do not have that either.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I remember I was obsessed with bed knobs and broomsticks when I was a kid. And I think I've talked about this before. But a big part of that plot is there's an unexploded bomb right outside of the house that they're in. And that's why they have to go somewhere else. And I
Miss
just
Peregrine's is like that too.
Oh,
the
really?
Home for Peculiar Children. It's like the reason they're stuck in a time loop. It's the day where the bombs
That's
like fall. It's really
right.
cool. I
Yes.
really like that movie a lot.
I love that
So-
movie. Yeah,
I
I
mean,
haven't seen it in a long time, but yeah,
Eva Green,
yeah.
please.
And
Oh my God,
love
I know.
her.
She's
Dude,
like
I just
the
watched all of
headmistress.
Penny Dreadful and
She's so cool in this. It's a
So-
horror. I mean, it's like I'm
It's
pretty sure
dark.
we could cover it. Yeah, there
Yeah.
are plenty of women in it that do do things. She kills. Ava Green's character kills people. So it's I love it. It's a book series. I never read I only read the first one, but it resonated with me. I enjoyed
It's on the
it.
list.
It's on the
Yeah.
list. Yeah,
Put it
we're
on
just
the
building our
list.
list out. All right.
taking
Well, before I throw you out of planes, let's get in, loser. We're going killing.
This woman will soon cut, chop, break, and burn 5 men beyond recognition. And there isn't a jury in this country that will convict her.
Okay, so I want to talk about this quote arrangement. So Waffner says a
It's
couple
not
of
an
things.
edible one.
Oh no, it's not.
Well,
It is-
well,
yeah.
he is about to do some eating, or he's trying to. So Waffner says to Chloe, must we always go through this? Need I remind you of our arrangement? And then later he says they have been given a purpose. So I had a bit of a tricky time making this outline. And I think a lot of my questions feel specific, but I kind of want to have them like open a door into larger conversation about some things. I feel like there are a couple of different focal points for larger themes. So Sammy, what do you think Waffner wants from Chloe, and why do you think she stabs him?
I think he's obsessed with her, in an unhealthy way, and wants control and uses this power he has to coerce her into having sex with him, even though she, it's very much against her will. So I don't know if I can call it sex. I like,
Oh, I would absolutely call this
it's rape.
coercive assault.
Yes. And I think it's safe to say he's using her brother as blackmail. So he won't take her to the church that he took. It seems like her aunt went there and both of her parents didn't come back too. So it's like she has seen the horrors and she's lost so much. So he is using that to his advantage. Like, do you really want to lose your last family member type of thing? And, demanding her sexual submission in exchange for that, for not killing or mutating her brother, which is, the bar is low. And as for why I think she stabs him, I mean, it's established already that she's kind of like this fiery kind of fighter. She's like ready. She's enraged. She's ready to pop off. Like, I think she's at like the end of a rope type of thing. And I think she stabs him because she sees an opportunity to retaliate and takes it. And I did sort of want to talk about her aunt here because I didn't really know where else to kind of place it. But she really is the only other female character that we see in this movie. And I kind of wish that we had gotten more from it. I think if I have one qualm, that is maybe it. I feel like that plot line kind of ends a little abruptly. And I was expecting her to kind of like pop up at the end because we never see her die and like chewing on a German, you know what I mean? Or like
she's
coming
played by
at
Meg
them.
Foster too. So
Oh, really? I didn't know that. I mean, she's covered in makeup, so it's
I know.
really hard
No,
to tell.
totally.
Yeah.
You wouldn't know, but it's like that's
and
Meg
use
Foster.
that.
You
Like,
could
if
have
you're
used
gonna take all of that time, because I can't imagine how long. I mean, I know the guy who played Waffner, he was 6 hours in the makeup chair every day to get that face put on him.
And hers was
Hers
everywhere.
is everywhere.
Yeah.
It was really intense looking. So I don't know if, and I didn't see anything about it, but like if there were cut scenes
Like
with
deleted,
her.
or not even deleted, but just never filmed. Like
Yes,
got cut.
I would have loved to get more of that because, Jen, like you said at the top of the episode, this movie doesn't pass the Bechdel test, and there aren't any other women. So it's like, it would have, I don't know. I think there was a chance there to add a little bit more oomph in that section. And that's really the only part in which I feel like maybe we could have used a little bit more here on this bone.
Yeah, no, I agree. Rachel, what do you think? What's up with this arrangement?
Well, unfortunately, I feel like this is one of, because, obviously this is like a fantastical reimagining of this time and this period everything that happened on D-Day, obviously. However, I think this is something that's very true to a lot of historical conflicts, not even just, not even things that Americans are involved in or whatever. I think just whenever there's times of war that unfortunately a lot of women are taken advantage of by soldiers from anywhere. And I think that part of that is, what does he want from her? I think she's a beautiful young woman in this place that he's stuck. And he's just taking advantage. I think he just wants to fuck her. I think that's as simple as that.
Yeah,
but also, using that as a tool. And the agreement, I think, is that he's going to leave her family alone. And it seems like with the aunt, that's why she's there. Because it seems like she went over there.
She's the only one that returns.
And she returns, and that's the agreement. Like, I'll give her back, and I'll kind of leave you guys alone, but you got to do this for me, kind of thing. So I think that's what the agreement is. And I use the agreement loosely because obviously this is, like you mentioned, like coercive assault, and she's being clearly taken advantage of and does not want to do this. But I think this is just like one of the horrifying kind of, realities of war. Not saying that's right or I condone that or anything, but I think this is far more common.
It's happening right now. Like,
this is unfortunately
on an exponential level. So it's not that far-fetched.
And like, for Chloe too, it's like how is she supposed to fight back, especially before all the troops get there? Like, what is she, of course she's going to want to protect her brother. Of course she's going to want to protect her aunt. Her parents have already died to this sort of situation. And as unseemly and horrific as it is, this is a way that she can keep her family safe. And it's like, oh God, it just like breaks my heart. And I think that's why she ultimately does stab him, because now, not that she like has to have the support of the men, but she's not by herself. She's not fighting this alone anymore.
There's backup.
So it's like, okay, it's not just me anymore. Like, I can actually do something a little bit more aggressive, and not in a bad way. It makes sense, but she's got the support of this little squad of soldiers that she's able to do that and finally like let him know how she really feels about him.
Mm-hmm. Shelby, what do you think?
Oh yeah, like I mean I agree with everything everyone said, and one of the like to give some historical context too. Unfortunately, not to make this even darker, but this would happen to women
That's why we
during
have
World
the
War.
hopper cut.
Yeah, exactly. Let her come into frame.
Yeah.
Break up the tension.
Yeah.
There is good in the world.
She's like, say
Yeah,
what?
there is good in the world. You can go see Hoppers after this.
Go see Hoppers.
Not sponsored. Yeah, but Disney, you can send us money if you'd like.
Oh yeah, we'll take money from Big Hopper.
Yeah, Big Hopper.
But yeah, like these women, this would happen to them, and then after the war, they were shunned by their fellow locals. There are a lot of pictures. There's one in particular that has been burned into my brain, and it's all these women having their heads shaved, and the caption I remember seeing, it was just like they slept with the Germans or something. There was phrased
Betrayed
in
their
some sort of way.
country.
And they were treated horribly. I think I want to say it was something I've watched. I want to say maybe Band of Brothers does show this.
yeah.
Maybe it was something like that, and shows how the locals would treat these women, and it's given a little of an ugly context of like, yeah, you shouldn't have fucked these Germans, as if they did it to like get ahead.
Yeah.
And it's like, how I've always thought that. I'm like, how many of these women didn't have a choice? Or if it was like, I'm going to blow your head off or this, and I've always thought that. And it's just, and seeing it in this movie portrayed, I think was really important to do, because it was something that was so common, and not even from like the top dog of German officers. It would just be, whatever they called
Lonely
privates.
men.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And so it's like, I think that one thing that I couldn't help but watch it through that lens of like, God, even after this, even once the war's over, because we know the war's going to end soon. Like, she wouldn't, if this hadn't all happened, she still wouldn't have necessarily been like free of,
Yeah.
because you notice the fellow, there are still locals around, and they don't really help each other, and they're not.
No, they rat
helping
each
her.
other
Another
out.
woman ratted her out. Yeah, I guess she does talk
Exactly.
to another woman, but it's to rat her
So
out.
exactly. So I'm like, there was this weird view, and I've never been through this type of war. I can't say how I would react. I would hope I would never react in this way, but it's like, it's kind of, you become an us against them amongst your own people. And so I think, yeah, it's like, what other choice do you have? And I don't know. Why does she stab him? Because you just fucking have too much. I would want to. I wanted to. I was so happy that she did. So
Yeah, I think the thing that like triggers the stabbing is he's saying they have been given a purpose, and I think she sees how dehumanizing he is to the people in his, because this is after they find out about this mysterious drug. And we know that they're doing these horrific experiments, because she knows bad shit is happening at the church, but I don't think she knows exactly what's going on, because nobody that goes there comes back normal or comes back able to really talk about it.
Like,
and
the
it
Pet
might be that
Cemetery. Like,
yeah, exactly.
They
Yeah,
don't
and
come back the same.
and it could be that the Anne is the only one to have come back from it too. And so I think that is what really sets her off there. And I think the thing that really disturbed me about this arrangement thing is when he says, must we always go through this? And he's talking about her like showing some kind of discomfort, because he wants to fuck her, but he also wants to play house. Like, he wants her to make
he wanted her to cook dinner.
Exactly.
Yeah,
like, he
where the
turns
rabbit
around, he
was.
wants her to do like undo his, like taking his tie off at the end
He
of the
wants
day.
some set of like normalcy, I feel like, and like the control, and like, oh, this is totally fine. Like, we're,
because
and
he
it's like,
doesn't want to
she's
feel
like,
like
no,
an
it's
asshole.
not. Yeah. And it's like, no, sir, you
because
are an asshole.
no one is ever the bad guy in their own eyes.
Exactly. Yeah. And he doesn't want to feel like a rapist. Which
and I feel like in this
is.
scene too, one thing I kept thinking about, she knows they're in the attic, and the added humiliation of knowing these men are watching.
Oh, it would be horrid.
Because she still does not know, like, she's still under duress from them as well.
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't know, they might be they might be loving
and her
this.
brother's up there.
Her brother's up there. And
how many times
he
has
does
her
cover
brother
his
been up
ears.
there?
Yeah, like I noticed that Paul covers his ears as if she has taught him to cover his ears,
Yeah,
which
he
is
runs
another
and
horrific
hides.
thing.
Yeah.
And like the soldiers, it's like, and they are watching. I mean, they're not watching in a voyeuristic way, but like she knows they're watching, and like again, that added humiliation of like, great, now the Americans are torturing me too. Like, I just. Ugh.
Because, like, even if they aren't enjoying it, they're going to take pity on you. And, like, this type of character and this, like, just the vibe that she gives me is, like, she does not want to be victimized. She does
Exactly.
not want to
Exactly.
be seen as weak. And
Mhm.
I think that's why she's so strong is, like, she's I feel like once she's able to take, like, a second to relax and let her shoulders, everything will kind of, like, catch up of, like, oh my God, like, you're not in survival mode anymore. You know, she has been just one try, like, just worrying about the next hour, the next day. She can't think of a long-term plan. And she's turned into a mother overnight, you know?
Yeah.
So I just, I could not. Oof, that's worst case scenario right there in that house for sure.
Yeah.
Well, and when they make the plan to get Paul back, she is luring that awful Nazi who reminds me of one of my husband's old friends. They're not friends anymore, but every time I'm like, that looks like Simon. But anyways, so Simon is running after her on the bridge, and then she knows he's going to try to rape her.
Oh,
And
yeah.
the smile on her face when she sees the soldiers come up behind him, she's like, ha, fuck you.
Yes.
Your dick got you killed this time. And it's just, it's so satisfying. Okay, well, talking about them in the attic leads to the next thing I want to talk about. And this really is a case in point that I kind of want to use to open up a larger conversation. But Boyce wants to save her, and Ford tries to stop him and is like just not able to do it without making a sound. So, why do we think this is? Why? And what does that tell us about who both of these men are? Rachel, what do you think?
I think it's the conflict of the mission versus the moment kind of thing. I think Ford is thinking of the bigger picture and like we cannot be discovered because inevitably, okay, he knows, then what? Then the rest of them, like that is going to put everything else at risk, which it does. And I don't, it's one of those things where it's like, I don't agree with that decision, but also I can see that point of view because it's like, okay, these troops are coming at a certain time on the beach and they won't be able to, there's so many other things at play. And for him, it's kind of like, we can't, yes, this sucks for her, but we can't risk this because that's one person versus like the lives of all these other people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, Boyce is not willing to, like, I think he knows that, but at the same time is like, that should not stop us.
Yeah.
And doesn't let it stop him. So I think he's just looking at it from a more human level. He's not looking at it quite so black and white or like logistically. He's just, he's got empathy. He's a human. He sees her as a person and is like, I don't care. Like, we'll make it work. And like, yes, I get that, but I'm not going to let this happen.
Yeah.
So I think it's I don't know if there's a right or wrong answer here. Obviously, it's not like I'm condoning Ford's decision, but I can see where he's coming from, especially with this character who is clearly has more experience in the military and is a soldier through and through, whereas Boyce really comes off as somebody, and like I can't even imagine how many men are like Boyce who they're in the military not necessarily by choice or that they want to be a soldier. It's just that they got drafted or it was just the time or that's the only job opportunity or who knows.
3 months ago I was cutting my grass in my front yard and a guy showed up with a letter like
So it's like there's career soldiers and then there's people who just are like thrown into this horrific situation, and like he's not a full soldier yet in that capacity. He hasn't lost, he doesn't have his blinders on quite the same way as Ford does.
Yeah.
Boys becoming men becoming zombies.
Men becoming wolves. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. And I think we never really learn why Ford is there, but given that they are going to be folded into Charlie Company, we can assume that Ford has been folded into their company after some awful shit has gone down with him too. So like when he says friends die after Boyce is like, I had friends on this plane I care about, I need to go find them. And he just says friends die. Like that just tells me maybe he was Boyce in the last mission.
Well, yeah, the camera kid, I can't remember his name, but
Chase,
or what? Yeah, when he
Chase, yes.
when they're
Dawson's
first
the book one.
When they're first on the plane and he's taking a photo of him, he's like, "Oh, I heard you were in." I can't remember, but like he's been. It's
he's been
set
in
up
Italy,
that
I think.
he's been involved in other conflicts, so he's seen what's at stake here.
He's been, I think, or something like that.
Yeah, so he's been through something, and so he's just got a different perspective than
he
Boyce
does. Yeah. Sammy, what do you think?
I mean, yeah, Rachel's absolutely right. I think we know that Boyce is an empathetic soldier. Like, he couldn't even kill that mouse, you know?
Yeah.
Like, that story, I think, is, it's supposed to give us some exposition and some insight into his character and where his mind's at. And I think if he can't kill a mouse, like, he's definitely not going to be able to stomach the idea of watching this woman be raped, and
Yeah.
stand idly by. Like, that goes against everything he believes in. And I think he's refusing to abandon his humanity even in this war zone. He's what you would call a citizen soldier, someone who's not a seasoned killer, and values life over efficiency, which is, I think, an important aspect in fighting for your country. And we shouldn't, I recently watched uh, um, the Roger Moore documentary about Fahrenheit
Fahrenheit 9/11.
yes, thank you. And they show a lot of the soldiers in Iraq, and their mentality is like it's terrifying. It's really genuinely terrifying. Like, they don't look at them as humans, and they're kind of taught to not look at them as humans. And I think we would have a much safer army if we were actually, like, caring about the people in these places that we were going and not seeing them as monsters or people that needed to be defeated, and unless they are Nazis, which,
Yeah.
every situation is different. But then you've got, Ford, who is this hardened, kind of cynical, ideal soldier. He's focused solely on this mission that's at hand. And I think in his eyes, like, Boyce turns a stealth operation into this, like, violent confrontation and puts the entire squad in danger. And also puts, I mean, like, think about it. Like, there are still thousands of people in, concentration camps. Like, you can't save one person
Yeah.
if it's going to affect the rest of like, it's for the greater good. And I understand that. Like, this is a nuanced topic. Rachel, you are right. There is no right or wrong answer to this. This is it's a very nuanced topic. And I think that Ford is doing whatever it takes to win the war, and he's arguing that personal morals and protecting individuals in a war zone are secondary to the overall success of the mission. And I think it's so important to kind of highlight these reactions and their contrasting views, because it is the film's central conflict. Like, it's the struggle between maintaining morality and the often cruel demands of military necessity, I guess, is how I'm looking at it. Like, it's putting a spotlight up to things that we still are seeing today.
Yeah. It's essentially the trolley problem,
Yeah.
because the reason they have this mission is because D-Day is about to happen. And if they can't have air support, then that might jeopardize those thousands of men that are on the beach. And so, I think he is thinking this is bigger than just this one situation.
Yeah.
Whereas I think Boyce is thinking, I think part of him knows, like, if I sit here and watch this, I'm victimizing her too. Kind of like what we were talking about. It is even worse knowing that these two guys are watching, and if they're not watching, they're at least aware of what's going on. They're going to hear it, Shelby, what do you think?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I don't have anything novel to say that hasn't been said already, but I understand what Ford was thinking. I mean, even if you look on an even smaller scale, just within the household, like, he's even, at least when I was watching it, I was thinking in that moment, at least I would be thinking maybe, like, okay, but if we try to intervene, we don't know how many guys are outside.
Yeah.
We don't know if all of a sudden everyone in this household is dead, including this little boy that's, like, sitting behind us, including her. And it's like, what is the lesser victimization here? What is the lesser thing for her to go through? And I think Ford has also been around the block long enough to understand this arrangement. I hate calling it that, but it's what it's called. And he's probably seen this sort of thing before. And Boyce he's so young. Like, I know I think he's probably supposed to be like 18, and, like, I don't even know, who knows, we don't get into it. I don't think he doesn't mention any sort of romantic relationship in his own life. And, like, so, like, it's like a whole new world of death and sex and how those things can be intertwined and used for bad. And, like, not saying he wasn't aware of, sexual assault, but it's
different,
not, he's
seeing it in real time.
Exactly. Being confronted with it. I mean, because, like he said, 3 months ago, he was cutting his grass. 3 months ago, if he was in a dark alley and he saw this happening to a woman, you would just stop it.
You would
there's
do something.
no question.
Yes,
Yeah.
totally.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
it would just go against every part of your nature. But I also don't fault Ford for having, again, like you said, this bigger picture. And again, even maybe the smaller picture of just what happens within the household of like,
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
to this woman, death is, could be argued by someone like Ford is worse than what is going to happen to her right now. Clearly this has been happening and we just need to, let this, like, it's not our business essentially to intervene. She has, this setup going on. I hate saying that. That sounds so gross to say that, but
No, I know.
you know what I say? You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
so yeah,
No,
yeah, I
absolutely.
agree.
And I
Yeah.
think he knows that, like, okay, if they fail for whatever reason, like, she's dead because
Yeah.
it'll be revealed that
Yes.
she
Then
was
yes, they both were
harboring
not.
American
Harboring, yeah.
soldiers.
Mhm.
Yes.
And like, okay, arrangement's done, like, you're dead.
yeah.
And so I
Everybody's
think
dead.
there's
Or
part
worse.
of it. Yeah, like,
Mhm.
okay, if we fail,
Oh yeah, or
we
we're
just
gonna
killed
drag
this
you
whole
to
family.
the church that turned your aunt into a
The
monster.
Or we're going to make you
Rose
watch us
Island. Yeah.
drag your little brother there.
Yeah.
You
Oh,
know?
that kid is so cute.
He is so
He's
cute.
so adorable. And I was really worried he was going to become obnoxious. But he's super
No,
He's like the
just-
little
yeah,
boy
just
from
enough.
Veronica.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
I
Yes.
know.
another
Oh,
cute
yes.
kid. Yeah.
Oh,
Two little
yeah.
brothers. Well, and I think to shrink it down to its smallest level, I think Ford doesn't want to die. Like the thing that struck me on this watch is he says, if we do this, our odds of getting out of here go down to nearly zero. Now he's talking about saving Paul in that moment, but I
Mhm.
think that is constantly what he's thinking. And I think it's okay for him to not want to die. Like when you are a soldier, it's like drilled into you that the mission is more important than your own life. And that is fucked up. And I
Yeah.
think that is part of like the masculinity that we like inflict upon boys.
Mhm.
That is how the patriarchy harms men too. And I think it's like, I just see him seeing, yeah, this is awful, but I don't want to die. I have watched my friends die. I just watched a guy fucking blow up right in front of me and I don't want to die. And I think that's okay too, you know? And all that to say, yeah, there isn't really a right thing when we consider the larger context,
Yeah.
but it feels like Ford is in the wrong in this situation. And I do think that they end up doing the right thing and it works out for him. So
For
you know.
sure.
Yeah. Okay, well, that leads to the next thing I want to talk about because I've got a lot to say about this baseball and this mouse. Before we do, let's pay some bills. Okay, so we hear we have this story with the baseball. The kid, Paul is always trying to
Paul.
get Tibbet to play baseball because all Americans play baseball. It does gross me out when the Simon dude spits on the baseball.
I knew that.
Oh, I
You
know.
And I
Yeah.
was like, well, you just ruined that baseball forever. Like, you have to burn that
Yeah.
baseball
Mhm.
now for me. And then we have the contrasting story of this mouse in the barracks. And everybody was punished because Boyce didn't want to kill the mouse. And I think that is kind of like a microcosm of how these
Yes.
two men kind of view each other, because if there's an enemies to lovers plot line, it is Tibbet and Boyce in
Yes,
this movie.
I love it.
You know?
Yes.
And Tibbet is constantly giving Boyce shit, like, you don't have the stomach for this. And it's really not until Boyce smashes Chase's head in that we really see him do anything overtly violent.
Yeah.
And I've been thinking about this a lot because I ran across this Instagram post the other day that was talking about the patriarchy and how it harms men and how men are taught not to express their feelings from a very young age, and empathy and like human tropes, not tropes, but human qualities are feminized because we want men to be strong. Like, it is not feminine to care about other people. It's not a feminine trait to want to save a mouse instead of to kill a mouse, but it's feminized by people like Tibbet. And it's not because Tibbet's a bad person. It's because Tibbet's been trained to do that too.
Society's a bad person.
Exactly. And that is why so many men grow up hating women, because women are allowed to have these traits that men are told to suppress. And so they're just living these lives where they're not allowed to express their feelings, or they don't know how to do it. And they hate it when they see us able to do that. And so as I was watching, I had that in my mind as I was watching Tibbet and Boyce. And it's not that Tibbet thinks there's anything wrong with Boyce. It's that Tibbet wants to feel that emotion too. And you can see him guarding himself against getting close to Paul And then once he finally opens up, like, he risks his life to save Paul. I thought he was going to die, and
I
I'm
did
really
too.
glad that he didn't. But so I just wanted to talk about how Boyce and Tibbet changed throughout the film. Shelby, what do you think about these two enemies to lovers?
Enemies to lovers. I mean, I will say Tibbet, like from the get-go, it was like, well, he's going to soften up at some point.
Oh, yeah. They're
and
setting the
it's gonna-
table for that.
Yeah, it's going to break my heart because I was really like, oh, well, he's going to die saving the kid. There was one thing that was, I don't even like to say it was predictable because it wasn't like such a good way in like a,
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
it's just a heroic way. It was like I could see where they were going with it, and I'm so glad they did. It was
And
like
to
one
watch
of those,
him like
sometimes.
mimic him too.
Oh
was
my
so
God, with his
cute,
little
with the little
toothpick.
toothpick.
Ah, I know. I know. We really need to rank the most adorable children of these movies. 'Cause
We should.
children get so annoying in so many movies.
It would be a
know.
very small list for me.
It would be,
Yeah.
But yes.
Honestly, I can only think of like the little
Two
brother from
of the
Veronica
two that we've
and
covered.
this one.
Yes.
Yeah, so far. But yeah, like I don't know. I think that Boyce, he starts to see a little bit about what Ford is saying of like the greater good, and having to kill his own friend because he turned into a monster, realizing like he didn't like fuck up fully, but like realizing it was, he did sort of, but like still like, he didn't do anything egregious in that he meant to do anything, it was just like, I got this new information and I utilized it and oops. And I don't know, I just think that he grows in that he never becomes quite Ford. I don't think he ever becomes Ford because even in their final moments, he's begging Ford to like leave with him and he's pleading and it does feel like in that moment. And I like this part that it feels like even in that moment, he's still not quite wrapping his brain around the scope of what these drugs do to humans.
Yeah.
Because he really wants to save Ford. And Ford does not like so many superhero type movies. It's like for some reason it doesn't affect him the same way it does other people, and he's still like,
normal
lucid.
looking.
Normal looking, lucid. He's got the cool veins on his face, which made him hotter somehow. I don't know. I don't know. But
what's wrong?
I feel like I feel like that's one thing I like about Boyce's journey though is he does grow in that he does understand like sometimes it's about the mission. But it is also, I don't think he ever sacrifices that inert feeling in himself of like, but I can still save my friends and I can still at least try. And we should always try. And with Tibbet, I think he realizes like you can't just go through the whole war with a hard heart because it doesn't make it easier. It does hurt when friends die. He also sees a lot of his friends die in this situation. But it doesn't make, wanting to love needing that human connection and being nice to the little boy who wants to play baseball, it doesn't make it like it's still a necessary feeling. It's still necessary to have that human connection because like you said, in war, they're taught to think of the enemy as like not even human. I mean, look at the propaganda that came out of World War II. It's appalling. I mean, we talked about Disney earlier. They did a little bit too.
They sure did.
Yeah. Check them out. They're on YouTube. But like this one I got a little bit rambly about. Sorry, but
Fine.
But I think Tibbet, ultimately realized like they're not numbers. They're not missions. Like they are people. It's so funny. They kind of learned opposite lessons, but they both needed to. Boyce needed to learn it. Sometimes it is about the mission, and Tibbet need to learn that sometimes it's not about the mission. And in the end, it's all so happy, and I love it.
And I think one of my favorite lines of the entire movie is when Tibbet says, "We can grab the kid as a bonus, kill two birds," and it's just it's so cute and so funny. And at the same time, I think he knows his audience. Like I don't think he thinks it's that cavalier. I think he's just trying to persuade Ford in a way that I think he knows will actually get through to him, and he's using his charm there and it works. It's part of what convinces Ford to go save Paul. Sammy, what do you think?
Yeah, no, I agree with everything we've been saying. I think they both kind of go on their own respective changes throughout the film, sort of like their own hero's journey, so to speak. And we see Boyce go from an idealist to more of a hardened soldier. You know, he's the moral compass of the unit, but I think, you know, this discovery of the Nazi lab forces him to adapt, you know, and become a little bit more assertive, and convince their team, you know, to put their lives on the line to destroy this lab, kind of moving away from his initial passivity, I think, through that. And then you have Tibbet, who is introduced to us in this sort of brash, wisecracking, you know, New Yorker, as I said, with little empathy for anyone. But throughout the film, his macho shit just kind of fades, you know, and underneath this facade is a deeper sense of duty. You know, he saves this child, and he really does care. He is sensitive. He's not, you know, completely closed off and cold because of what he's seen. And I think he ultimately matures from like a reckless soldier, you know, to a protector. And I think both characters at the end of the film mature and are ready to continue the war effort, as we see, and are kind of fundamentally changed by the horrors that they've seen so far. And like their hero's journey is like complete, kind of,
Yeah.
you know, like they have come out on the other side, new men.
Yeah.
And that's so funny because he's come out the other side is something that King writes about Larry Underwood, you know?
Oh, really?
Is
Yeah,
that,
I guess that's
in
true.
The
Yeah.
Stand. He's come out the other. No, he's talking about addiction, but just
Yes.
going through the worst possible thing that you can imagine, and then you come out a different person. And I think that's very much what Larry's journey is. And
Yeah.
like these two characters have a lot in common, I think, you know. Rachel, what do you think?
I agree with everything. And I feel like, yeah, it's that growth. And I feel like they kind of become a little less judgmental, both of them, in the same ways. Like
Yeah.
Boyce, I think, honestly, was a little, what's the word? But just like a little self-righteous almost. Like,
Yeah.
how can you
Yeah.
how can you let this happen? Like,
Yeah.
what kind of person are you? It's like he doesn't actually understand, because I think, you know, obviously Ford and I think Tibbet has a little bit. It's like, no, like, dude, you really don't understand like what's happening
Yeah,
here.
people are going to
fully.
die regardless of what we
Yeah.
do.
And like you haven't been through this, so like don't be quite so judgy saying I'm a
Yeah.
horrible person. And I think Tibbet also goes the same way. Like at first kind of mocks him for the mouse thing, and him saying like, dude, you don't get it. But then thanks to Paul, it's almost like, wait, no, there's room. Why not both? You know, you
Yeah.
can be a good soldier and also not entirely just shut off your humanity.
Yeah.
Like maybe there's a way for both of these to coexist. So I just really think like their Venn diagrams kind of overlap a little bit.
Yeah.
And I think they're both better people, quote unquote. I don't know. Unfortunately, Boyce gets hardened, but I think because of that, he realizes like, okay, this is a different kind of situation, and I'm not going to just immediately write off what these other people are saying, because there's some validity there too.
Yeah, I think hardened is one way to say it, but I think it's also like he's just becoming more worldly, like he's losing his naivety, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And realizing where they are. And I'm known for saying on other podcasts, can't they all just be best friends and do war together or be on a
Why
boat
can't it all
together
be
or something?
rainbows and butterflies.
Exactly. She doesn't even go there. But I think the three of them, like, they make a really good team. They really complement each other, because in these kind of situations, I think you need someone like Tibbet to provide levity, to say something like, we can grab the kid as a bonus when we know that the stakes are super dire. He knows that too, but he's trying to keep some kind of life.
He's the
And
personality hire. Yeah.
He is the personality hire. Yes. He also is just very capable and pretty hot too. But I think you need somebody like Ford, who is like, no, we have to stick to the mission. And you need somebody like Boyce, who's like, no, but we have to do what's right. And to Ford's credit, he does agree to go into the church, even though he knows he's going to die. He's like, no, you're right. It's the right thing to do. They don't have to like leave him. They don't have
Because
to
this
kick.
is for the greater good.
Exactly.
You know? And so like his mentality is still there in that moment. Like if his death means it saves everyone, then yes, it's for the greater good. If watching this woman get assaulted means that it saves everyone, then yes, it's for the greater good. So his mentality hasn't changed in that moment. If anything, he becomes the thing that needs to, you know, the sacrifice kind of for that.
And I think what they all know, and that I think it's kind of easy to forget sometimes when we're just looking at one unit, is that none of them want to be there. None of them started this. They are all thrown in. Odds are they all got drafted.
Yeah.
And none of them made any of these choices, and they're all just trying to do the best they can with the skills and the training and the weapons and the opportunity that they have. And like at the end, they just want to go home, and if
I
this
get
is
it.
what can get me home, I get that too. And I think we ask our boys to sacrifice themselves for so many things that they don't need to sacrifice. And that's what's interesting about this movie, because it's World War II. And that is one of the wars that has a very clear enemy, very clear objective. And so many of the other US wars, especially after World War II, were like,
created them. Yeah.
exactly.
For
Or
no
like, why
reason.
exactly are we there? And I'm
Yeah.
not
Well, and
thinking
even
about
in
any
this
kind of
case,
current events,
but like we waited till the last minute. So
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
we
Yes.
knew
We're not
for
the heroes
a long,
here.
Yeah,
long time,
exactly.
and we changed. This is what we were talking about at the top of the episode of changing history to reflect our
Exactly.
what we want to see. And it wasn't until I was much older that I discovered that we knew the atrocities that were happening. Our president knew, and no one did anything until Pearl
Well,
Harbor. So
Yep.
We did a
That's
little
what-
bit. We
mhm.
put our own people into internment camps just in case. So
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
and
Mhm.
they took a handbook out for today, so that's really wonderful. But
they did. Yeah.
Yep.
Mhm.
we're so good.
Yep.
I love
Oh,
it.
yeah.
I love it. I love
We
it.
need
Well, okay.
American rules.
Dude, it's just every
Hopper,
day
Mabel,
is a
I mean,
nightmare.
Mabel.
Yeah, bring her back. Bring her back in frame.
Ooh. Well, okay, so I want to ask, like, because Tibbet says you're not built for this, boys. I want to ask about boys and just kind of about the concept of being a soldier in this war that you didn't choose. Can boys be both a good soldier and a good person? Can those two things go together? Rachel, what do you think?
Oh, that's a tough question.
Loaded
I
question.
mean, I think yes, but I think he has to kind of redefine what being a good person is. And I think that's what I forget his name again. Chase, camera
Chase,
boy.
camera guy. Yeah.
I think
Camera
that's
boy works.
kind
I
of
think I
Yeah,
would
yeah.
have dated
what-
him too, by the way, just to throw that
He's
in
very
there.
cute.
He was
Yeah,
very
yeah,
cute
yeah.
and
That's nice.
talented.
very sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You'd
Um,
have a great Instagram role,
Exactly.
He can
True.
bend it back with his neck too.
True. I think that's what kind of teaches him that, because, he injects him thinking it's going to, but then something worse happens.
Yeah.
And it's like, listen, you can have the best intentions in the world, but that doesn't mean it's going to yield the results that you want.
Totally. Yeah.
And especially during war. I mean, we see this. I mean, I'm sure we saw this and have seen this in countless wars, but obviously like Vietnam comes to mind. But it's like there was a lot of situations where that was exploited, right? Where children, women, like people were put out there knowing like, oh, somebody's going to help them. And then a bomb would go off, almost kind of like when they shove the guy and tape his mouth shut and like go send him back in, like that kind of thing. And it's like, so I think that's kind of what he learns in that moment is like, just because you think you're doing the right thing, that can actually backfire on you and put everybody else, like he puts everybody in that room at risk in that moment. And like, it's terrible. It's horrible that his friend dies, but he could have lost more.
Yeah.
Like everybody else could have died too. And like, that is worse, right? Like that's not what he wanted, but that doesn't mean that's what's going to happen. So
Yeah.
I think the answer is yes, but I think he ultimately has to redefine what that looks like in this scenario, because this is not the real world.
Yeah.
Real world, quote unquote. Like it is the real world, unfortunately, but it's not, it's not back at his home. It's not like the same situation. He wouldn't react the same way that he would, like you mentioned, in his hometown on his front yard if something happened with his neighbor. Like different scenario and different rules apply here.
Yeah. Yeah. It's moral relativism. I think there are so few times in life that there is a clear good right and a clear wrong. Like it's almost always more complicated because human beings are more complicated than that,
Yes.
Sammy, what do you think?
I think, I mean, like I was saying, I shouldn't, all of our soldiers have empathy. I would like to think that, but I unfortunately know that isn't true. And, but by the end of the film, he's sort of able to balance his moral humanity with this necessity of war, and he's depicted as like a reluctant hero and this gentle soul, which I love, but that, that doesn't mean he can't keep his moral compass while also being thrown into this like horrible situation. And I would argue that Boyce's goodness is what makes him a truly effective soldier. You know, he fights to protect humanity rather than just out of a desire for violence or a desire to win, or, you know, a patriotic thing of I got to do this for our country. It's for he wants to do what's best for humanity. It's like World War II is the type of situation where it's like I don't care what your beliefs are. Much like the one that we're in right now. I don't care what who you are, or what religion you come from. This was a morally horrid thing, and so I think he's going into it not because of pride, but because it's the right thing to do.
Yeah. Shelby, what do you think?
Yeah, I think so. I think he could become both. Again, this is, you know, just living in this world of like he can't go home. He has no choice. So like it's become a better soldier and find a balance, or, you know, I don't know. But
Die.
like or die. Yeah. Like Rachel said, like the self-righteousness, I think he has been a little bit, you know, like washed out of him. Like going back to the scene where she's about to be assaulted, like he never once thinks about the overall picture of like why this is happening, why she's not stopping it.
Yeah.
And like maybe it's going to end up really, and it does, for I know it overall ends up good, but like for that moment when he intervenes, it's like, oh shit, now it's all really fucking bad, you know? And there was a reason for all of this. And I think he maybe will just be a little more discerning going forward, and discerning in a way that maybe is a little more Ford like, that is a little more of a greater good. I think he probably learned a lot from that situation, you know, and watching Ford sacrifice himself. I'm sorry, my cat is giving herself a bath. Let me censor her.
Oh.
I just looked up and she's like full yoga pose.
Mine does that too. I'm like,
yeah. I know. She's like, sorry, you're talking about something important?
yeah, sorry, hold on. Let me
do
just
what a cat's
lick
gotta
myself.
do.
Let me lick my
butthole.
butthole.
Cats don't give us that.
Yeah.
And we love it for them. Yeah.
But no, yeah, I think that there is a possibility he could become both. I mean, I wish clearly at the end of this they were setting up for a sequel that never happened, when they're like, and now we're going to C Company, you know? I wish that we could have seen what would have happened. I don't know if anybody in the research found out like what.
No, I looked too.
Yeah, I guess it didn't even get that far, but I would have loved to see something like that, to see, because I feel like we would have seen him embody Ford a little more. We would have seen him standing a little straighter, you know, kind of a passage of time thing, but there wasn't much time passed, but you know, you grew up so much. And like Sammy pointed out, we're like, this isn't the real world. Or one of you, I forgot, one of you said this was not the real world. I'm so
I just
sorry.
made the dumb joke about the real world.
And then I sang True Story because
Yeah,
I'm
okay.
forever real world
It was,
too.
it was an encompassing real world. Yeah, sorry to attribute anything incorrectly. But, you know, that's one thing that soldiers struggled so much with when they come back, not just then, but now, is the lack of like, because you are back in the real world. And it is like, oh, we're not like letting, you know, you're not letting the lady just be assaulted, and now we're back. Not that soldiers walk around letting ladies be assaulted once they get back, but you know, just like that like your whole system of justifying your actions and others' actions are so skewed and so different.
The whole Rambo franchise.
Exactly. Yes, exactly. It's so funny. I saw someone recently tweet about how that's like they totally misunderstood the entire point of that series, but that's another. I also got yelled at about when I tweeted about how I was very excited about All Quiet on the Western Front coming out, the new one. And they were like, oh, I didn't realize you loved war. And I'm like, you clearly aren't familiar with the movie or the book or the other movie, because
watching movies about war doesn't mean you like war. That'd be like
you endorse.
Right. Like,
it was laughable.
If that were the case, then I watch a lot of documentaries about a lot of weird shit. Okay.
Yeah.
If every documentary I watched meant that I was in support of it, I would be arrested.
Oh, I guess you love mortuary assistants, Sammy.
Right? Yeah. Oh my God. I thought of you today, Sammy, because there's a documentary out that I posted it on my stories anyway. I want you to watch it so we can talk about it. But yeah, it's on Netflix. Anyway, but yeah, no, I do think that there would be I think he could find a balance. And I think that honestly, he could be one of the few that came back and was okay here as well.
Yeah.
Like was okay once he went back home knowing he always tried to do the right thing, but he also found this balance of there's a reason for the greater good and the reason
Mhm.
for the mission. Of course, not always, but I think he would find a balance of that and find a satisfaction in himself that when he came back, that I think a lot of soldiers didn't.
Yeah.
And, there's a whole argument that's why there were so many serial killers in the 70s because all their dads were World War II veterans. But
Gone.
that's a whole
Oh,
other show.
absolutely.
It's a whole
Yeah.
other show. So, yes.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think yeah, it is his empathy that makes him a good soldier because sometimes you do have to break the rules, especially when the rules are being shoved down on you by an overlord who is not in the situation with you. And I keep thinking about the boys because we keep talking about things we covered on the girls and the boys, but this is very much like a Butcher Huey kind of dynamic between
is.
Ford and
Yes.
Boyce, you know?
Oh, totally.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's this like babe in the woods, like, oh, I couldn't actually
Bright-eyed and
hurt somebody.
bushy-tailed, like,
Exactly.
And for
And then
those, like,
slowly,
broken
Yeah,
yet.
and for a second,
Mhm.
Huey was like, "Is he crazy? Like, is this actually, just all
Yeah.
made up and madness?" Like,
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely,
Yeah.
yeah.
But then he finds his strength. And I think the real strength here is knowing that sometimes you do need to break the rules because when you're the one on the ground, when you see the sacrifice you're being asked to make, maybe it's not the right way to go. And I think about this, we've talked about this in the context of another movie, and I can't quite remember, but I always think about it with Cabin in the Woods, where we're talking about should Marty,
yeah.
my dream crush, should he die to save the entire world? Is it fair? Is it justified? And I think it's always people like Boyce and people like Chloe who are asked to make these sacrifices. And sometimes I think it's worth saying, no, the world can
The
burn
world's
down.
not like the world needs to be worth saving for me to save it. Sorry,
exactly.
guys.
That's
Like,
the thing. And
Bring
I think
on the
in
giant hand that crawls out of the earth. Yeah.
Yes,
like,
and in the
you're-
context of this war, I think it's not necessarily worth it to them, because all they see is all of their friends dying and
Yeah.
them being literally thrown into impossible scenarios and told to complete these missions, even if it means you die, if you blow
and seeing
up.
humans commit horrid
Just the worst of
acts
the
against each
worst.
other.
Yeah,
So it's
absolutely.
like you would like be, you're shocked from that. Like just
Yeah.
like realizing the capabilities of the human race. Because it's like regular war is one thing. You know what I mean? To do what was done here is an entire there is nothing here that you could try to be like, well, at least this, it's like
Yeah.
yes, I know we got medical advantages and things like advances and things like that, but
No,
it's like
I know, but
no, that's not how we do it. So,
exactly. Well, going back to we knew about a lot of these atrocities. Our government did, but I always think
Yes.
about, and they do portray it in Band of Brothers, the first soldiers who did not know what was going on, and they came across concentration camps, and they were like, they couldn't even
they gave them
comprehend what was
chocolate
happening.
because
Yeah.
they were like, that's all they had on them. And
Yeah.
people died from the
died
chocolate
'cause
because they hadn't eaten. And
and it was
weeks.
yeah.
So it was like a
Yeah.
shock. I remember learning that in class and being like, oh my God.
I remember
Yeah.
learning about how they had to lock them back up so they wouldn't
Yes.
overeat, but then it was like we're locking them back up and
Yeah.
It's an impossible situation that no one should have had to live through.
No.
Yes.
Oh, no.
Everyone include, you know what I mean? Like the soldiers are a part, like there is trauma that comes with that as well. And
Absolutely.
so yeah, to keep your, I don't know. I think after seeing, it's how I feel right now. It's seeing the things that people are capable of doing and making excuses for, where I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't think any of this is sorry. Let's press the reset button. I'm cool for the big comet to come.
Yeah. Or not even
Or
making
asteroid.
excuses, but
Yeah.
gleefully doing and
Yeah.
telling
Yeah.
us that it's right and trying to tell us that the
Stoked on
sky
it.
is green.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't had many supernatural personal experiences or anything like that. Not saying this is supernatural, but I've been to Buchenwald in Germany
Yeah.
and did a tour of that, and I am not even joking. It's you feel
Heavy.
the shift and the energy there, and
I
for
can imagine.
obvious reasons.
Yeah.
It was one of the most surreal experiences ever. But I will say it's the fact that Germany and is not.
Oh, you can't say they didn't learn from there. They are
No,
very
yeah.
and we I have
Intentionally.
family friends, and that's no, we're taught about this. We're
Mhm.
very not we're open about it and we're not going to erase this.
Yeah.
Like, nope, this is because they could easily tear that down.
It's like our
Yeah.
Christopher Columbus like story, you know.
Well, that's where we
yeah.
went wrong with the Civil War too.
Like,
you
yeah,
know,
it's
it's like we got to
yeah.
placate these guys, and
But
so we
also,
can't
it's
make them feel
crazy.
bad.
Like, even in this movie, though, like there's, like with like the holes in the, and it's like, oh, like that's terrifying because it's like, oh, I've seen that at a concentration, like certain things, and so it's just it's not good.
It's enough to
It's not
definitely make
It's
you
not
think
good.
twice about like what it's all worth, like what it's all for, and
Exactly.
why are
Well, yeah,
do we
and like
deserve
how
to be here?
and any war, any conflict, I'm sure. I mean, obviously, even like. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure we all know somebody who was involved in Iraq and stuff in some capacity. And it's like, you don't come back the same. How could you? How could you?
Yeah, because when you see the worst things that human beings can do to each other,
I always think of, I know I've like said Pet Cemetery thing, but like the story of the son who came back. Or
Timmy Baterman.
Yes, it always sticks with me. And I do think
Mhm.
you could like absolutely look at the Micmac burial ground as a metaphor for coming back from war. Like,
I think so too.
1,000%.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like, I've
you don't
never
come back
really
the
thought
same.
about it that
Oh,
like
yeah.
that. So
Yeah.
wow, I mean, like, because the whole entire, coming back, like, sometimes, because I kept saying like sometimes they come back different, like, because it's hard.
Well, I
not
was thinking
to.
sometimes dead is better is what Boyce
Yes.
learns in the end.
Oh,
Yes,
you know?
exactly.
Ooh.
So yeah, man.
That is such a good book. And you know what else is good? Our next category. Good for her. And of course, we're talking about Pet Cemetery. I can't remember if we actually said that, but yes, everybody should read Pet
I
Cemetery.
would hope that
'Cause
when you
it's
when
so
you
good.
heard
all
Micmac
know what we're
burial
talking-
ground,
yeah.
guys, come on.
Claiming she could take it no more, the young mother released the emergency brake, allowing her car to roll backwards into the nearby lake. Good for her.
All right. So I'm going to look in the camera. I'm going to say, yes, we know murder is bad. I'm going to go out on a limb and say war is bad too. Yeah. Okay. So this is the thing I find so interesting about this serum. It's producing these ultra soldiers who can't die, but they also can't control their destruction. And I feel like there are so many, like we talked about this with Burke in Aliens. We see this in Jurassic World. Like they're always trying to make this super soldier, the super weapon.
Compound V.
Exactly. That removes your human characteristics and makes you into like an autonomous soldier who's not constrained by your moral compass, And I think that's what we see with these soldiers here. Waffner says, I want to thank you, Corporal Ford, for helping me become the man that I am. Like there is this ultra masculinity, I think, that comes with this. And then Ford says our side shouldn't have this either, because you fucking know what the U.S. would do with this shit. We would do the aliens thing or Jurassic World.
Bad.
Yeah. So I want to ask, Sammy, what is Overlord saying about war and masculinity? And is this a feminist movie?
I will say I'm really interested to hear your take on this being a feminist movie, because I just don't think that's how I viewed it upon seeing it. Like, and I don't think the average consumer would see that either. I agree. The main theme for me, takeaway wise, is that we're portraying war as a dehumanizing, sort of chaotic nightmare where traditional sort of aggressive masculinity often fuels that machine, the war machine. And it's a place where violence is sort of perpetuated by this intense, almost desperate display of dominance, and kind of explores this psychological toll that is taken on these soldiers, kind of like we've been discussing. And while I do feel this story gives us a really strong female character, the film itself is primarily like a genre-driven action horror piece that kind of, rather than like, it's like something that operates within rather than challenges, traditional male-centric action tropes, I think. But all that to say is that it's, an action narrative that does not actively engage with or promote feminist themes, at least intentionally, I don't think. But can be if you choose to hone in on that aspect of the film. I just don't think it's at the forefront of the messaging. And I'm really interested, like, obviously, like, we're talking about it through this lens, like, I can see it now, but I would never have, before this podcast, put this movie on and been like, wow, what a feminist film that was, you know? So I am interested. Like, I love that we can look at it through that lens. And, you know, there are people that actually did view it through that lens when they first saw it, because that just wasn't how I was viewing the film when I first saw it, for sure.
And honestly, I didn't until this watch either, because I was looking for us to talk for things
for
to talk
sure.
about, you know. And as I was watching it, I was like, no, I think this is feminist, you know. And I think the reason the feminism I see here, you know, this is going on about 6, 7, 8 years of me writing about feminism and really doing deep dives. And the further I get into it, the more I've started to focus on men and like the element like masculinity in relation to feminism, because what feminism really is not women dominating. Like, I joke about wanting a matriarchy all the time, but a matriarchy could just as easily go wrong like a patriarchy, you know? Because what feminism really is, I can't fucking talk, is about equality and equity. And that's, I think, what I see in this movie is these three characters who have, like, Boyce is the feminized character here because he is the weak one. You know, I would throw Rosenfeld in there also, but then Rosenfeld is the one that's wielding the machine gun. And I think I see him finding strength by embracing his empathy and embracing his more human characteristics and kind of rejecting the toxic masculinity that Ford and that Tibbet are kind of trying to force on him. Now, not in a malicious way. I don't think I would call Ford and Tibbet toxic masculinity examples or examples of toxic masculinity, but I think they come from that world and they represent those corners of it. And so I think the feminism I see is just we're looking at the downfall of that, you know, or we're looking at the downside and the destructive nature of that, especially with these monsters, because we are trying to create ultra masculine monsters who have no human qualities. And we see how destructive and monstrous that is. And I think that's the feminism that I see there. And I think it's also just saying that war dehumanizes everyone, you know?
Yeah.
Rachel, what do you think?
You know, it's funny. So the comedian Robbie Hoffman, who I love
her,
has this bit
I'm obsessed with her.
about, you know, we've never had a female president because people don't like the idea about their president getting fucked. They want a president who fucks.
Wow.
And like, that's, you know, it's like a concept that
we want
people
a top,
are just
not
ready. Like ready to.
Well, who's to say our president's?
Well, no, sure. Obviously, she's a comedian, so but it's like, you know what? Like, I think that there's an element of truth there in the idea, and I think that's kind of what this movie is sort of examining in some ways. And in that way, I agree with you. It's feminist as like an overall concept and less about, you know, gender identity and that kind of stuff. But like the idea of like feminism versus like a patriarchy kind of system.
Yeah.
And so I think this is sort of pulling that apart a little bit and saying, because like, listen, I mean, my ex was in the army and like, you know, did not have the best experience. But just kind of the idea how
someone who has, honestly.
Like, but just how they really kind of nail in and hammer in the like the hive mind mentality, where it's like, and I get, and you know, I get it in some regards, but like to have everybody kind of thinking the same, to like remove these things because if needed, you need to like set all these thoughts and feelings and keep things aside and kind of even the playing field between everybody else, like not looking at them because friends die and you're going to have to make choices, and maybe that's not the thing that you should be thinking of first, because in that moment, like, you know what, a bullet's going to kill you no matter if you're a good person or a bad person. In war, you know, a mine doesn't care if you're an empathetic person. You step on it,
you
it blows
didn't kill
up
the
your
mouse
dead
or not, you know.
And so I think it's almost like you just have to do that in order to grapple with the situation. But what I like about this movie and what it's saying is like, but there's, you know, maybe it wouldn't necessarily be like that if there was a little bit more space to have a little bit more empathy or humanity. Like maybe it wouldn't have to be like that if everybody kind of just gave it just a little bit more space to realize like, no, these are people. These are human, not robots, not super soldiers, not, you know, ultra serum induced zombies. But then again, it's like, but what if, is everybody going to adopt that idea? No, obviously it's like, you can't get everybody on the same page. But what I like too about Chloe is that in like this character is that we also see her do it, like kind of expand her role and what she's capable of. And I mean, we see her wielding a flamethrower. We see her going in and she's fighting just as much. And even before that, when we meet her, like she's out scavenging, she's doing what she has to do for her, for her family to survive. But she also gives space to these soldiers when like that has to be terrifying. Like a bunch of soldiers from another country that you don't know, like she didn't have to respond that way or help them in any way. And so I think we see her grow in that way too. And so I like that, I don't think that we get enough of her necessarily. Like, I agree.
Yeah.
But I do like that she's in there. She does kill multiple times. She shoots soldiers in the head. And she's fighting right alongside them. And her battle just looks a little bit different than theirs. And but I do think that ultimately what it's saying is like, no one wins in these scenarios. Yeah. No one wins. And even like, the fact that they make it out and Tibbetts is like, oh, I thought they would be sending us home. And they're like, no, they're just.
No, you got another job.
We're getting wrapped into this other thing. We got to go meet Hitler. And, it's just like, they don't value these people. Like the military does not value these men as individuals because they're right. If they had done this, maybe they would send them home. Like, thank you. Yeah. You did an amazing job. We want to reward. And they're like, no, we need more bodies. Like, get out there.
Exactly. Yeah.
And that's just like another horror of war. That's unfortunately a reality. Like you can do all the good things in the world. Like, thanks so much. Get back out there and fight again. Do more. Yeah. Like that's awful.
Well, and war is the epitome of toxic masculinity, like that is.
Well, it's like, have you seen that Black Mirror episode where they like the soldiers wear these like special like things that make it look like the citizens are monsters? Yeah. It's a really great, and like that's the twist at the end of the episode is like you're watching these soldiers fight these insane beings, they're like creepy creatures, and then you find out that they've all been instilled with this like thing in their eyes that makes them see civilians like that, and then like the twist is they take it all and like you see that they've been killing children and moms and women and stuff like that, which is sorry, but like that's a subject that'll really kind of like
that's
hit you
why
hard
we have
when you're
drones
watching
now.
it. Exactly.
Drones, it's like playing video. I mean, you remember the commercials, especially during like the early aughts when drones were kind of newer, and it's like they literally were like, it's like playing a video game, and it's like you're killing people.
Well, yeah, but it separates it in such a weird way, right?
You like the idea. Like, I'm sorry, but like you wouldn't like we were saying, you don't come back the same. You certainly don't come back the same if you've killed a child.
Yeah.
And that happens. And so I was really thinking about that Black Mirror episode while I was watching this because it's just always resonated with me. They don't really make that great of episodes anymore, but it's like first
but when they were in their heyday,
it
was too much for me to watch. Like I've only watched 2 episodes.
I was never able to binge Black Mirror, especially
too stressful.
You end an episode and you're like, okay, time for some cartoons.
To watch like Reading Rainbow or some shit.
But like I do appreciate that about this film, just the fact that it's not necessarily leaning too much one way or the other. Like I think that it's walking a really fine, interesting line where it's having empathy for, the idea of war and soldiers and the Fords of the world, right?
Yeah.
Like it's giving that space to be like, there is a logic here, and that doesn't necessarily make you a bad person, but also giving space to the voices and saying like, yeah, but there's also this, and like, just how do you navigate all, and then even Chloe and all the horrific things she like, giving her empathy and also saying that doesn't make her a weak person. Just because she was getting fucked against her will does not make her a traitor. It does not make her weak. She's still a fighter. She's just doing what she had to do to survive.
Exactly.
And that doesn't take away from her as a person. And I just like I don't think I ever gave this film enough credit for that.
For sure.
Yeah,
but that's the wonderful thing about our pod is like we get to analyze it in a different way than I ever would have thought to,
Yeah. And I think part of it is it just goes down so smooth. Like it's just such a fun ride, you know? And then it was because I was looking for questions, looking for things for us to talk about. And that's why a lot of them are like, well, let's just talk about this concept, because I think there are so many complex ideas here, but it's just in this really fun, but still really harrowing and gory and awesome war movie.
Yeah.
So Shelby, what do you think? Is this feminist, and is this good for her horror?
I don't think they set. I'm with you. I don't think they set out to make a feminist movie, but I do feel like it ended up saying some things. Like, one thing I wanted to point out is like Chloe. I mean, this is maybe a little bit of a stretch. It's especially something I don't believe they set out to do. But like the invisible labor of women, how women, are supposed to take care of the home and the children whilst also maintaining a job, especially these days, whilst also maintaining a job. Or if they are, stay-at-home mom or wife, that's not considered work. It's just not
Yep.
considered work at all. And
Mhm.
Chloe is like fighting a war in her own way, making these arrangements to save her family while also having to like cook a rabbit for this motherfucker and like
I can
take off his
imagine.
coat.
Yeah.
But also being a mother and a caretaker to her, like, zombie aunt, but she's also like could be a depiction of someone who's incredible. Like, I can't even imagine. We don't get told many stories about what happened to the disabled and the very elderly during these wars. Like, what do you do with someone like an aunt who isn't a zombie, but who isn't able to
He has
even
dementia,
who has
or
dementia
yeah,
or
like there were still ailments happening during these wars,
Exactly,
sickness.
exactly. And so, it's I think it was a really interesting insight into this home of this woman. Again, she's fighting the war, but it's just she's not a soldier and she doesn't have a unit to fight with her. She's fighting in the way she can. Again, whilst doing all of this, whilst maintaining a kind of a lovely home. She's like, it's clean, it's well maintained. Like,
Well,
she
and she's
looks
got
great.
medical assistants too. She's because she went to
Exactly.
veterinary school. Like she's the one they go to when there's an injury.
Yeah, she went to veterinary school. She speaks English, so she's able to even talk to the soldiers. I mean, she's got so many skills, and she was going to become a learned woman who was going to, like, you could tell it was kind of I was going to get away from this crazy place, and here I am.
Here I'm
And,
back.
and she could have stayed. I think she could have made the choice to stay in London. Like, she chose to come back, I mean, I know London had its own stuff going on at the time, but I do feel like if you looked at it through this lens, which was really interesting to do, again, like you said, because we were doing this episode, I did, and just seeing the men and how they are, and just the overall, like, you look at, I don't know, I can't remember if anyone specifically used this terminology in this movie, but soldiers, we're always seeing them called like, come on, ladies, and you're like little girls, and like they're always compared to women.
Yeah.
They're always compared to women, and in a negative way, and that's throughout history. Like, it's the reason we call people pussies, like, and so it's like,
Even though it's
I don't
probably one of the stronger organs,
Exactly.
Yeah, we made all of you,
It's like
motherfuckers.
didn't get ripped and go back to normal, but
Yep.
sure, tell me
Get
how
back
it's
to
a weak.
business. Yeah.
Exactly,
No, I'm just
exactly.
singing Beyonce.
But yeah, what it has to say about war, I don't think at any point this movie was like war is necessary, which unfortunately you do find in a lot of war movies, including some of the Charles Bronson ones. You kind of get that message of like, but it's necessary, and like, but this, I don't feel like I got this. It was just, we all ended up here, and that's why I really loved that Boyce's origin story. Was like, I got drafted. I don't know, man. Like, and
I
I'm
didn't want
here.
this.
What else am I supposed to do? I've always thought about too, in researching war and these war movies, and how often deserters are, executed. A lot of deserters are either executed, or at least there's a lot of corporal punishment for it. And it's like, how do you fight the human urge to run away from being shot at and having, like, how do you fight that? Like, sometimes I feel like my body would just do that. And now I'm being hung up in a tree because I ran away. And it's I feel like this movie definitely portrays a different version of a war movie. That's not really a proper way to say that, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
In that, like, it's not celebrating war. It's like, hey, this part of history happened. Let's put zombies in it. Let's put a lady in it. And let's put people of color in it. And like, let's just do this part of history justice, because even though we are not celebrating war, it did happen, and let's celebrate it let's celebrate the people that had to deal with it, had to live through it. Because like we said, this whole episode, zombies didn't happen that we know of in the war. Like I'm so
Anything is possible these
that
days.
they didn't.
I mean, there's still stuff that they have not released from World War II, which is insane. I just did a tour of the Queen Mary like last year. I did a ghost tour.
It's so cool. I've done it too. I remember when you did it.
Yeah. And they were like, we don't know how many people died on the Queen Mary because England still has not told us. Like the England still has like, because it was an English warship, and they're like, England still has those files like blacked out, like we can't see. So like at this moment, like they said it's a cute little kind of, well, cute is a weird term to use, but they're like, technically no one has died on the Queen Mary, like because
the official death count of Chernobyl is like 30.
Technically, no one died at Disneyland either.
Exactly.
They always are somewhere else. So
I feel like putting zombies in this position of like, there's like still a lot we don't know, and like something like this could have happened where they're like, I mean, I loved the debrief with the other soldier with Boyce, where he's like, so there was like nothing down there, we don't need to like dig it up, and Boyce is like, nope, and he's like, all right, cool, let's move on, like let's just keep it pushing because we got a lot of other shit to blow up. So come on, everybody. You know,
and I'm on the state side, but I know that my country is just as bad or equally, maybe not.
That's
just
what I
as
loved
bad,
about. I loved
the
message of the realization that like we shouldn't have this technology either.
Yes, no one should, because the temptation to use it and the way that you make soldiers not run away from people shooting at you is you dehumanize them. You know, I think. It's probably because, like, John Boyega reminds me of Giovanna Depo in a lot of ways. I'm seeing him, like, taking off his stormtrooper helmet and just the realization that there's a human being in there that might be scared and maybe doesn't want to die. Came out
and we all lost our minds. Oh, my God.
Oh, yes. But
I know. But
we gotta watch Attack the Block, too. I'm going to have to figure out
I love that movie so much. There was supposed to be a sequel of that one, too, and they haven't done it. But in conclusion, war is bad. No, but I think this movie has a lot to say beyond it being an action, thriller, horror. And I absolutely this has got to be one of my favorite movies now. Like I'm going to start making sure to bring it up because it's never brought up. Yeah.
Yeah. This is going to become the next Repo the Genetic Opera.
Yes. Double
guys, it's like, I'm sorry.
We got to mention it every episode.
That's going on our bingo card.
Remember that you like
someday there's going to be a showing and we're all going to be in the same vicinity and I'm making all of you go watch it with me. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
We can all dress as different characters.
What do you think? Is this good for her?
I think it's good for her. And I'm going to apply that liberally. I'm going to say good for her, but that includes Boyce, that includes Fort, that includes good all of them, not just Chloe. You know, it's good for her, again, as a concept, not specifically just talking about Chloe. I do think it's good for Chloe. I think that she is in there just as much. She doesn't rely on anybody else to save her in this situation. And also, like, when, she's in there and Boyce is like, okay, we're going to go do this and then look for Paul. And she's like, no, I don't have fucking time for that. I'm going now. You know, like, she's very much using her voice. And she was doing what, it's horrible. But, like, she was doing what she had to do to save her family in that situation. But she's also not going to go backwards. Like, she's like, okay, that sucked. But now I'm in this position and now I'm out there fighting. I love her in this movie, but I also love her loosely for all of them. So I think that we do see all of these characters evolve in meaningful ways. Like even Ford, he sacrifices himself, but I think ultimately he knows, like, again, like this is what I have to do. And, he does grow a little bit and gives space to Boyce and understands him a little bit more. And so I think he ultimately, like, he grows in that way that he's like, okay, I can see how this is, like, I'm not going to lose all my humanity either in this situation, which is why he ultimately, I think, does that to himself, because he knows, like, I'm like, this is what I need to do in this moment. I'm going to inject myself with this. And he signed his own death certificate in that moment. And he knew that. But I think he also knew, like, he had to be the one to do that. But he cared enough about everybody else and the people that he was willing to do that. So I think it's good for all of them. They just all don't make it out alive, unfortunately.
Yeah. Well, Sammy, what about you? Good for her?
Honestly, I did not think so, until we kind of like it's, one of the instances in which I go into it not thinking it is, and then after we discuss it, I see the light. But yeah, I'm gonna go good for them. I'm gonna go good for them. This defies her, you know?
Yeah. No, I think
So
so.
I like that sentiment. So that's what I'm sticking
Yeah.
with.
Well, and I completely agree. I think just for Chloe, this is good for her too. I think she is using these men as her weapon. She's using her sexuality as a weapon. She's getting some cathartic revenge there. And she's using a flamethrower. And anytime we have a lady using a flamethrower, it feels good for her. But yes, I also love that the movie is really deconstructing this concept of toxic masculinity, toxic patriarchy. Like it's called Overlord, and that is such a
Yeah.
masculine title. And that it's like that is what is hanging over all of this is there is this overlord. They're trying to create like an indestructible patriarchy that's going to last 1,000 years, and this movie is tearing that down, and that feels good for her. Also, it just ends on such a fun
It
note.
does.
And
It
they
does.
survive. Like
They
ultimately,
do.
they
Yes, I
survive
know.
this conflict in this situation in war. And I think for anybody that if they survive a war, that's good for them.
Yes, I
Yeah.
think so. Yes, voice who does not die.
Yes.
But are we going to die for him? Let's find out in our penultimate category, Die For Me.
Look at her. I would die for her. I would kill for her. Either way, what bliss.
And this is where we give our final thoughts and decide would we die for her / them. I am absolutely dying for this movie, for Chloe, and for every single person. I'm even going to die for Waffner because I think he is such a great
great
villain.
villain. Totally.
Great villain.
Yeah.
So
Those
much.
effects on his face.
Oh, and he's just so like gleefully evil too that it's so much fun. And I think I loved this movie because it's such a fun ride before this. And then really like looking at it through our lens, I think I found so much more. Like this is a movie that has just really grown on every rewatch. I think people should watch it. It should be talked about in some of the best horror
Yeah.
action movies because it is really
It really
good.
should be. Yeah.
So yeah, I'm dying for it. Shelby, are you dying for Overlord?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And this is one point I kept forgetting to make until after I was done talking, but it is interesting that one of the only female zombies we see has no body, and
Oh, yeah.
it's like her body was
Just a
also taken
head.
away,
Yeah.
just like Chloe's.
That's-
Yeah.
Good point.
In different ways. Like they just took the women's bodies away in different ways instead of making them soldiers.
Yeah.
Not that I was like, you should have made them soldiers. But but
They're
yes,
not
I would
valued
die.
that way.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're not valued as soldiers,
Yeah,
right? Or like
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
But
you're
also,
right.
we're not objectifying them, too. So, like, from a filmmaking standpoint, it's interesting also,
Totally.
you know?
It is.
Yeah.
It is. But yes, I would definitely die for this movie. I think it should be talked about more. I want to watch it again soon. Like I don't
Right?
want to wait a million years to watch it again. Yeah, it's definitely something I'm gonna like recommend more often
Yeah.
as well. And yeah, absolutely. Yes.
It's just a hell yeah movie, you know? And,
It is.
you know, we've been watching some heavier stuff earlier,
Yeah.
you know? Sammy, what about you? Are you going to die for Overlord?
I would, and I would die for Chloe. I love this actress. I wish she was
Yeah.
in more things. I was a huge fan of Netflix's 1899. It was like
I
the
love
makers
that
of
movie.
Dark.
That show so
Yeah.
much.
It was
Oh, I
really
miss
good.
it.
I was devastated when it got canceled. So I'm sure that's contributing to my death for her because they never got to wrap anything up, and it was really
know.
I hate a mystery unsolved. But yeah, I love this movie. I think it's an exciting, pulpy genre film. It's perfect for a midnight showing. Like we said, it's perfect for a double feature with like Inglourious Bastards or Dead Snow, something like that. The practical effects are out of this world. And I love that it was mostly filmed on location, which just never happens anymore. And I love that it wasn't
Yeah.
on some lot here in LA. And yeah, I might find another way to go besides injecting myself with unregulated Nazi goo. But yes, I would die for it.
And Rachel, this is our last action horror film of the month. So I
Going out
wanted to
with a
give you the
bang.
last word for Action Horror Month. Are you going to die for Overlord?
I really would. I'm so glad we were able to revisit this because, I mean, it really is just awesome on every level. Visually, like you mentioned, the effects, the performances are great. Also, everybody, if you're going to have a villain in a war movie, I don't think many people, anyways, would argue with Nazis being like, of course, like it's an easy entrance into like, yes, we immediately like, we're not going to have any sympathy for them, right?
Yeah,
yes, kill them. Awesome. So it's a perfect setting for this kind of story. But what I really appreciate Nazis and zombies aside, is that it could have just been that. That's the thing. It could have just been soldiers go over Nazi zombies, awesome action movie. But what I think really elevates this to a worthwhile action horror movie to revisit is that conversation that it is having a conversation about war and masculinity and women in this world. And it did not have to do that, but it does.
It could have just been Nazi zombies.
Absolutely. And like those movies do exist. There's plenty of them, especially in the horror genre. And like, or just, bad zombies in some capacity, whether there are a lot of Nazi zombies, aren't there?
There is. Yes.
Yeah, there is. They're usually zombies, which I guess, makes sense. But like the fact that it's having more of a nuanced conversation and something that feels really thoughtful and is allowing us to feel like hell yeah, but not in like a jingoistic way that I feel gross about, like, ooh, you're playing on my like feelings in a way that make me uncomfortable. This movie doesn't do that. And I think that's what's going to help it stand the test of time. And listen, it's got 4 soldiers right here who are willing to go to battle.
We're going to war for this movie.
Yeah. Hell yeah. We are saluting Overlord.
Yes.
I'm a small soldier.
Yes.
Wait, is there a lady killer in that movie? I love that movie. Maybe
I
not.
love that movie.
I don't know.
Like there is a lady.
Kirsten Dunst is in it, so
She is.
And she's a lady killer perpetually
and she might
because she's
stomp
awesome.
on like a toy or something. I think.
Yeah, she definitely is going to
So,
bring it on. So
toys are people too, as
they are
exhibited by my home.
and
So,
Toy Story. Yes.
Yes,
So,
if a bear falls off the bed, I'm feeling real bad the next day.
Yeah. And on that note, let's wrap up with what's coming next.
Unlock the next configuration. And then the last. No. I've done enough. Enough is a myth.
If you want to follow the show, you can do that on Twitter at The Lady K Pod and on Instagram at The Lady Killers Pod. You can find me at Jim Ferratu. You can also find me on the Losers Club. Talked about that a couple of different times. We did episode by episode coverage of it. Welcome to Derry, and I talked a lot about Ivana Depo there. You can also find me on the Girls on the Boys with Rachel, where we talk about masculinity a lot. And you can find me on the Murder Made Fiction podcast, where we're talking about a lot of dudes in cold places with the terror right now. Sammy, where can listeners find you?
As always, you guys can find me at SRK Doll on Instagram, on Twitter, and on Letterboxd. I thought I would start because I love the stack so much, and I've been really trying to read or like watch something recently with note or with some substance in it. So I've wanted to maybe use this section to tell you guys what I am reading or watching lately. Right now, I am reading this incredible, for my true crime girlies out there. It's called The Snow Killings, and it is about the Oakland City child killings that happened in the 70s that were not solved, but could have been solved. And they were not like, nothing happened until the mid-aughts. And it's essentially like watching the first season of True Detective. And it's so gripping. It's a big trigger warning because it is rough to read, I will tell you at some points. But if you are but if you are like exploring the Epstein files, if you are learning about that and learning about this kind of cabal that is over or like around our world, this has been going on forever. And it was unsolved because the people in the Detroit area had a lot of money that were running things, and they covered a lot of things up. So, again, like if you really liked the first season of True Detective, unfortunately, it's not a Southern Gothic. It is a snow-filled true crime story because all of the
I
killings
hate snow
happened.
horror.
I know. Every child was killed on a day where it was the first snowfall, and
shit.
or
Oh
like
my
it's like
God.
snowing.
Shit.
It's really
Yeah.
like, honestly, like I Googled if it was the inspiration for the Black Phone after, and there are
Yeah.
so many similarities. It did inspire a couple of other authors. Like it's an intense book. I'm about halfway through it. It's heavy. Like it's long. But I'm just, it's so important, I think, to educate ourselves on what's happening here with these things. And yeah, I mean, it is essentially, there was, there was an Epstein Island before there was Epstein, and there will be another island after he is gone. So it's a really great book. I highly suggest it. It's called The Snow Killings. You can get it on Amazon. I got it on my Kindle. Or
I just
your local
downloaded it on
bookstore.
Libby. So
Very good. Again, trigger warning for anyone with kids. It is hard, but I really think it's an important read. So that's where you can find me, and what I'm reading right now.
Awesome. And Rachel, where can we find you?
You can find me on Instagram and Letterboxd at The Vinyl Girl. And over on Halloweenies, we haven't had our full planning meeting yet, but so I don't know exactly what we're covering. But I do know we're going back to hell for Hellraiser 3, Hell
Did
on
you ever
Earth.
leave?
Wait, I mean,
You
that's
left for
just where we
scream for a
live
little
now.
bit. Yeah.
Which also, could be. I guess we didn't leave hell for Scream 7. But yeah, so we'll be doing that, and I believe also covering The Omen 3. So threes all around.
sweet.
They come in threes, right? So that will be a blast for sure.
And Shelby, where can we find you?
You can find me over on the Bloody Disgusting podcast. Speaking of, actually on the Scary to Sleep podcast, I think I mentioned this on the show, but like I recently did an episode of Deathbed Confessions that I found on Reddit.
So interesting.
And a lot of them are from veterans. I actually stopped reading veteran ones because they were so dark. And yeah, and so I was like,
Can't
and actually I had a
imagine.
lot of people that were like, no, come back, read more of the veteran ones because they get really dark. So this movie made me think of a few of those, of just what they saw and what they talk about once they're going to the other side, and they want to make right, before they meet the big man. So yeah, Scary to Sleep podcast, Bloody Disgusting podcast, and you can find me
Feel
online
good.
yeah, exactly. Feel good. And you can find me on Instagram at Shelby B. Novak, and that's links to all my other stuff too. Yep.
And that's it for our episode on Overlord. Thank you so much to my esteemed squadron. And listeners, thank you so much for joining us. If you like this episode, please give us a quick rate and review on Apple Podcasts. It really helps people find the pod, and it makes us feel good. I'm bringing it back for this episode.
So good.
You can also comment on Spotify. So much fun with those comments. And I found out I am not the only person in the world who watched My Two Dads. So
People came
that
through
was
for you.
fun.
They really
They
did.
really did. I
They
know.
did not-
There are dozens of us. Yes. So please comment there. We're having a lot of fun with those. And we are going to be back next week. And I'm hungry. For a cheeseburger, but also for some
Big
rich people,
burger.
because we are starting Eat the Rich month. And of course, we are kicking that off with the menu, which I'm very excited about. But until then, remember, ladies and ladies, support women's rights, support women's wrongs, and ladies, we got a job to do. Pew, pew, pew.
Hell yeah.